It's an important pillar of national building over and above the usual provision of infrastructure and public amenities.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Broadcasting worldwide, Spice FM. Online, mobile, and on radio. Facebook at Spice FM KE.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you. You saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You have land, Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay, your own land. You use your own money to build it, and then you sell it to yourself.
But we don't want foreign troops on Kenyan soil.
But surely it goes a little bit deeper. This is it.
If you find the tree is withering, then you call the person who is managing that tree. Come around.
Yeah,
Why? Tell me what is
first of all, what's the problem?
Yes, what is the problem there?
How do we expect ourselves to move forward as a country?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
He is himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament. So
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament.
Well, when he said
the government,
when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo ungekuwa umeenda mbali sana hii. So when we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do.
Like now, he abandoned, of course, the narrative of Wheelbarrow, Mutanu, Mamboga, and all those. That rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning.
Good morning. The continent is happy. Aseto is happy. Call me Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. Woo. Mexico did the thing.
Mexico did that thing.
2-0 in the bag.
In the bag.
Yeah.
The Mexican flag dons the continent. One must say.
That's interesting. I know that the jury's out on a lot of these things, on all of this conversation right now, that should you be doing that? Oh, because there's an African flag that's flying, and so you should support Africa.
Yep.
You said no.
No, like, you want to be treated well and nice? Treat others right.
It's the greatest commandment. Do unto others as you have them do unto you.
As you have them do unto you.
My God.
You know what I mean? There's a simple question that Malema asked the other day. Okay, fine. 300 Ghanaians left. Have you created 300 jobs?
Have you found the jobs?
Yes.
You kick them out of hospital. Are you getting better health care?
Are you getting better health care?
I know. Malema asked some fundamental questions in terms of then what's going to happen after that. So it's not just football, but there are many other questions that are coming into play here.
And this is what I usually say, man. You treat me like crop. You don't expect me to come clap for you, man. You're going to get clap back. And crabs as well. It's hey, bana, because it's just that. It's just that. Yeah. Even God does the same. You go against his commandments, he punishes you.
You suffer the consequences.
You suffer the consequences.
Hapunde Tuko. A very good morning to you. Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
It was budget day yesterday, so things were done a little bit differently. Be able to go in depth and cover the numbers and see all of that that was happening. And then later on in the day, the Cabinet Secretary, Treasury, John Badi, FCPA, actually read the budget statement. And it seems as though the politics of the day played out, where people came out and said, absolutely, budget mzuri
sana. But
so, you know,
I have a problem.
You do?
I actually have a problem.
Okay, here we go.
And I think I want to direct this to the government of Kenya, the Kenya Kwanza government. You cannot tell us that every other Kenyan must tighten their belts, that you're trying to fight wastage. When we see, for a very long time, the tradition has been that the cabinet secretary moves with the Passat vehicle. Since time immemorial, when Kibaki was in office, that has been the tradition. Now we've gotten rid of that tradition. Now we have new Peugeot. And there were 4. And everybody came with it. One asked the question, when will we stop the wastage? The gentleman would have walked. Migo Sogamba, for once, receive your flowers. I saw the gentleman walk freely.
He walked from Jogo House all the way to Parliament.
Nakaingia.
Like 3 minutes.
And you know Jogo House and Treasury is fire. Jogo House is further
from Parliament.
And alifika before Mbadi. Mbadi was actually coming with the entourage.
Unajua briefcase lazima isafirishwe na gari bwana.
Bwana, we already have that document. We already have that document. If anything, Mbadi would have just come with his phone and read everything from his phone.
He's wasting fuel.
He's wasting fuel. He's wasting paper. How do we fight climate change when you're busy cutting trees to print papers? But it's true. Wacha ukweli usemwe. In fact, Mbadi in that vehicle, they would have traveled 3 of them. Mmoja mbele, wawili nyuma.
Angechukua Migosogamba from there. Alafu nani mwingine akutua?
No, angechukua governor. That is governor
Nairobi.
No, Central Bank.
Oh, Thuge.
And then angechukua PS. Those are 3 people sorted.
Yeah.
Right? And that vehicle comes with 3 people. Instead of spending fuel that already is expensive, Strait of Hormuz has been closed, munaribu mafuta.
Sasa umeona vile mmetufanyia asubuhi. Sasa Dennis amekuja leo asubuhi kama amekasirika, na sisi tulikuwa tuna hope za Evelyn ndio huyu amekuja kama anaona Dennis.
Bwana, let's stop
sasa
wasting
umeona sasa now Dennis is angry.
Let's stop wasting
for the sake of the peace and joy of Dennis told Ibrahim Aseto. Can you people just behave yourselves? Because when Dennis has peace, the rest of us see we'll have peace. Sasa ona vile mtuaribu asubuhi.
It was a good day though.
Now that we've established a number of things, very good that we can have you in the room this morning. Hey, nilikuwa nataka kukwambia nini?
Niambie.
I can't even remember. It has gone. Well, it'll come back. It'll probably come back in the middle of when we're discussing something totally different. But hey, that's it. At 6:15, a very good morning to everybody. Thank you for being here. It is the 12th of June. Hello?
12th.
Salala. Karibu tumefika nusu. Yes. Quarter of the month is actually more. Okay. A third of the month is done and dusted, and we're into the second half almost the second half of the month.
Yep.
Right. So this is what it looks like. And a very good morning to you, wherever you're tuned in from. We get into it this morning. EV, fine form. Everybody here ready to go. Let's get this caboose moving. And as we get into the conversation, let's let you know what we'll be talking about today. A very good morning and welcome. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and X, and our audience on KTN. A very warm welcome to you as we get into these conversations this morning. Now, we'll be doing the week in review. We'll talk about a number of things. We will look specifically at the budget with Tobias Alando, who is, I like to say, Tobias.
Tobias, yeah. I also like to say Tobias.
It's Tobias.
Right.
We have insisted.
Let's be Kenyans. Tobias.
No, when he comes, we'll ask him, but I am saying Tobias. Okay. Tobias Alando is the chief executive of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, right? He'll join us at 7 o'clock. We'll have a post-budget analysis with him and say, okay, so what does this portend? Once the budget is read in Parliament, as it was yesterday, then it's going through some really quick motions. But you still have an opportunity to discuss and to put forth your issues. You still have that because it's still in discussion in Parliament in terms, the word that's used is debate. Lena Mati is a lawyer and founder of the Roundtable magazine, and James Mulamba is a governance activist. Our youth perspective also takes the week in review into consideration, where the budget will make up some of that. We'll also talk about, court rulings. We'll talk about protests. We'll talk about, again, killings. We'll talk about the budget. From a youth perspective, we'll take the week in review. And finally, managing unrest in schools. I saw a horrible video, and I think this video is going around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, take it as you wish, and I do still feel that there's a place for discipline for children.
Yeah.
But the way this father beat this girl,
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh my Lord in heaven! I was like,
Baba who? Yeah.
Trauma. Now the whole world has seen it. How do you come back from that? I can understand, because she's said to have been one of those who caused or was going to cause unrest in her school. And her father got wind of this information and decided to bring his whip to school and to meet upon her this punishment. Yikes, it was quite something. So the unrest in schools, even though the cabinet secretary has pronounced himself in certain manner, the problem has not gone away.
Yep.
We have not addressed the issues. Whether there were issues that came from the student side, those issues still exist. Whether there are issues from the teacher side, they are still there. School management's talking about to the ministry capitation. All of these issues are there. So how are we going to deal with them? Well, James Mangerere is an advocate of the High Court. He says there's a way to manage unrest in schools, and this is through peer mediation. The role of peer mediation in managing schools unrest is the conversation that we're going to end with this week. So he joins us at 9 o'clock. That's what our conversations look like today. Thank you for joining us already. And we're going to get into it proper today. Blue stripes is the fashion for the day. We did not know, we did not plan, but c'est la vie, mon ami.
Yes.
I want to live contigo, contigo. Sorry, that song just came into my head. And when it comes, we just have to go.
Yeah, we just have to go.
All right. Contigo is without you.
Yeah.
I don't want to live without you. That's the song. It was sung by one Enrique Iglesias. Moving along swiftly. It's our last day in Guinea.
Yes.
The capital is Conakry.
Yes.
When I was younger, I was still... so my dad used to play this game where, by the name any country in the world, I can tell you its capital.
Yeah.
So we used to play this game where he would teach us geography, where he would call out the countries and would name the capital.
Yeah.
So this was when I was starting from about 3. So I used to say that the capital of Guinea is Canary, like the bird.
Yeah.
So that has always stuck in my mind. So that's just a fun story for
Conakry.
Conakry, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
The land of bauxite.
Yes.
That produces what? I've said it the entire week.
Wait. Not to say that I've not been listening to you. Simu.
No.
Aluminum.
Aluminium.
Aluminum.
It's a good class session.
Thank you. I'm a good student.
You're a good student.
Thank you very much.
Good student. Yeah. So let us go to. Yeah, but then again, it's also used to produce phones as well.
See,
and vehicles.
That's awesome.
Yes. You done well. Yeah. No, pigia simu. Niko hewani. Yeah.
Do you know the people? Sorry.
Let me actually just tell them.
There are these people.
Hello.
There's these people.
Niko hewani. Ndakupigia.
They imagine that nimekuona kwa TV, and they feel that they can actually call you at that moment. You can call, but I can't actually pick up the phone. Except in this case where we show you.
Yeah, we like,
Niko
live. Yes. Aya. Let's go. The goat says, what belongs to the sheep does not concern it until the butcher arrives.
Atia.
Okay, this. The goat says, what belongs to the sheep does not concern it until the butcher arrives.
The goat says, what belongs to the sheep does not
concern it.
Right, because you know what? Mm-hmm. That sheep can come for all of us. I mean, that butcher can come for all of us.
Yes.
You, goat, me, sheep. Yeah, it can be all of us. So there's this famous quote where it talks about, they came for this, but it didn't concern me, so I said nothing.
Yes.
And then they came for my this, and it didn't concern me, so I said nothing.
They came for my neighbor.
And they came for my neighbor's goat or ox or whatever it was, but I said nothing. Until they came for me. Yeah. So I love it because you can decide that you're going to be nonchalant about certain things until it actually makes you want to give a chalant.
Yes.
So at some point, you got to be involved in the conversation. You have to be involved in the engagement. You have to kick in at some point, because at some point it will affect you.
Yes.
I see it. Goat, sheep, butcher. Butcher will butcher all of you.
When you are ignoring other people's problems, it can be risky. You know why? Because the same fate might just befall you.
Absolutely. The same fate might befall you.
So, in Swahili, concerned. They say, ukiona mwenzako yuanyolewa, tia kichwa chako maji. When you see your neighbor is being when you see your friend's hair is being shaved using a razor blade, what you need to do, please apply water and add soap, so that when the razor blade is coming, you're ready for it.
I agree.
Yes.
Woo-wee. I totally agree. I promise I'll be a good girl. I'm sorry. I behave myself.
It's just shaving hair.
Okay, stop.
On the head.
All right. Okay, haircut. Okay, we can call it a haircut.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see what people have to say about that.
Exactly.
But it's nice that we can make the connection.
Yeah.
So, everybody who's tuning in this morning, thank you for doing that. Wherever you're tuning in from around the world, here in Kenya, the region, and the world, this is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We will comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Let's talk about these things until we get solutions. This is one way in which we can do it. A lot of things were unsolved because they were kept under the... It's where? Under where do they keep it? Carpet. Apple.
Under the rugs.
Rugs. That's the word I was looking for. And so we will take them from out under the rug and we'll talk about them. They may be boring or mundane at some point, but it'll affect you. Don't be like the goat who ignores the sheep until the butcher comes a calling. Let's say a very good morning to you. Tell us where you're tuned in from this morning and let's get into this conversation together. David Minor is tuned in and says, hello, Aseto. He's tuned in from Machakos. Is he the one who was calling you?
No, CA.
Sawa.
But hello. Yeah.
Owen Mwana Yesu. Okay. Good morning to you. Tune in this morning from... okay, what happened? Robert Obogo says good morning, tuning from Mombasa. Peter Chiari is tuning from Mombasa. You might face a trial, but you don't have to face it in fear. Faith still makes room for God to move. Absolutely. Where? I gotta take that in. I gotta write that down. In fact, let me take a screenshot of that. Check up, because I want to remember that for later. Laban Motaroki says, good morning, good people. We are in football mood. Morning, midnight. Sisi Kama Nigerians, Mexico United. We did it yesterday. Okay. A very good morning to you. Leo says, good morning. Hello, Princess Nduh and Aseto. We are about to see the repeat of the 92-97 election cycle. An economy that's not working for people, but on paper, lots of money in circulation in paper. Indeed. Eric O'War says, good morning, guys. Good morning to you. And Otto says, good morning. SpiceFM tuned in from Kampala. Good morning to you. Hope Kampala is having top of the morning. Nashon Gogi says, good morning, Nduh and Dennis. Back to regular schedule programming. Yes. Let me tell you something. There are two chicks who outdid themselves yesterday. Production.
Proper.
Njeri Mungai.
Yes.
Evelyn, otherwise known as
Evelyn.
And Lydia Minor.
Get your flowers.
You guys, Pokani. Because what?
Yeah.
Yesterday, production across the company was
Chef's
fantastic.
kiss.
Chef's kiss.
Yes.
But, we don't celebrate you guys enough. And if Lydia is under the blanket at this point, she deserves it. Even Evelyn deserves to be sleeping. But, duty calls.
Karibu kazi.
So yesterday was quite something, and you guys did a wonderful job putting that together from morning till night. Well done. Hope you all had a wonderful and hope you all have a wonderful and respectful weekend. Apoko respectful. Okay. Thank you for all you do. Nashon Gogi, thank you so much for all that you do too. Drift Session says, good morning, Team Kubwa. Remember when the madness of an entire nation disturbs a solitary mind, it is not enough to say that the man is mad. Indeed, happy weekend to you as well. Owen, we see you. You're tuning in, vibing duo. Happy to spice up my day from the Seychelles Islands. A very good morning to you. Clement Ochola says, from Malindi, the 2022 nominated John Badi said that the CS that Ruto appointed is incompetent. Is he also joining the incompetence? Please, usiseme sana sababu Dennis Aseto anakusikia. Let's clap for him. Okay. Yeah, it's called there's a clap that's called, I don't know, it's the Eskimo clap, something like that. That's out, we have clapped. Well done. Wanda says, good morning, Nduh and Aseto from Toronto. Vamos, Mexico. Okay. Vamos. They also took in the Iran team and are helping Cuba, who is suffering. Meanwhile, the US is acting like the World Cup bouncer instead of a host. Somebody needs to remind the United States of America that when you host an event such as this, the predetermined thought is that you would have sorted out immigration matters.
Yes.
If you don't want people from around the world to come to your country to witness, officiate, and or participate in the event, don't host. Hey, come on.
Play football, not soccer.
As it might sound like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
But if you want to host the greatest sporting event on the planet, you're going to need to allow people to come into the country.
Yes.
Hello? 1 + 1 normally is 2.
Not
normally.
11.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Did you see the treatment that the Senegalese team was going through? Extra security, individuals being touched inappropriately. What are you doing?
This is letting us know exactly where the world sits right now.
Yeah.
It's very simple. That the World Football Governing Body expects that stands will be full of spectators.
Yes.
The official sponsors are not looking for anything else but full stadiums that people can see on TV if they're not able to be there. It does nothing for official sponsors of large sporting events to see empty stadia.
Yeah.
You know this. So when your organizing committees were having a meeting with your government, did the dog eat your homework, or what did you not bring to the table?
Let me tell you.
It's going to get worse. We were just in the preliminary stages. By the time we get to rounds of 16 and where a lot of the people who have the rights to show these matches will start showing matches from, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah. It's called a World Cup.
World
Cup. Year 2.
Just in case somebody forgot.
Yes.
Yep. But you're right, Wanda. Chief Bouncer. Until Canada is even saying, let them come here.
Yes.
For God's sake. Simon Kibiru says, good morning, Spices. The Situation Room is the best way to start the day. Pewa Mbili Kwangu. Have a nice Thursday to you, Simon. Good morning to you. Also, quickly, Aseto, are we with the Morocco team since they stole AFCON? No. We never forget.
We never forget.
In this case, we are like the elephant. No. You can't do us like that. No.
You're on your own, man.
Yeah, we're petty like that. Very, very petty. I've answered for Aseto. Is that okay, Wanda?
It is okay.
Daniel Churu says, good morning. This regime has normalized the killing of unarmed Kenyans anytime there's a protest. If not that, then they will then send goons to then sort out the issue. Yikes. I know. It doesn't look good. Ipo Siku, for sure. Christina says, good morning. It's time for teachers to abandon motions like doctor is better than farmer. These Gen Alpha believe they're equal. It happened to our grade 3 somewhere in Busia. Millennials had no problem. I know it's going to change because there are a lot. Do you know that a lot of people who are coming up in the education system today are not even thinking they're going to come and work for nobody.
Yeah.
They're setting up their own
enterprises.
Exactly. So that also really has to change. Vintage Oak says, good morning, Nduh and Dennis. Hi all. How do we budget for money we don't have? When you're in a hole, you stop digging. Kabisa. Yes. It's true. Owen says we should do a show where we interview EVE.
Umesikia? Please, amka tukuone. Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mutuflani says, good morning all. Ama we change Kenya's name to Lamentia Sasa. Ooh. Okay. Mutuflani, good morning. Isakali says, budget aside. Today, Nduh, clear those tonsils. What's going on? Like you're about to headline a sold-out concert. Take a dignified sip of water, inhale confidence, and deliver a thunderous... It's Isakale's birthday. Stop the press. Somebody stop this moving vehicle.
Yes.
Let's get off it. Isakale. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Isa. Hey. Happy birthday to you. Hey, Isa, happy birthday. Are we allowed to ask how old you are? Those things happen. Hey, still, happy birthday, Isa. It's such a joy to then be able to celebrate with you today. And I mean, you light up the world, definitely. We've never met you, but we can feel it every time that you do. And thank you for being part of this. May you have a blessed day. May you have a blessed year. And I keep saying, may the cream of God's blessings always be your portion. A very, very happy birthday to you.
Hey, Isa nachoma.
Hey.
After all, June babies aren't just born. We arrive as limited editions, legends, icons. The reason the calendar picks halfway through the year.
The calendar picks. These people who are born in June. There is something. It's not surprising, is that you're also born in June.
Like you.
Need I say? I'm telling you, when mine comes, even the sun will stop for a minute. It'll shine brighter. Mutuflani is wishing his brother happy birthday there. Newton, get through it quickly. He says, good morning from Nyakach. And Kimiak says, I promise y'all. I promise.
Yes.
Nothing good will come out of the Kenya Kwanzaa administration. Ijuma Karim.
Juma Mubarak.
Where? Newton is saying good morning from Nyakach. Ambassador Beja says good morning from London in the UK. Pan-African Kenyan says good morning from Nairobi. Says Nduh and Dennis and everyone else in Spice family, I thank you for your hard work yesterday and I still do this morning. Thank you very much. Calvin Mirindo says Nduh, good morning Nduh, my love. It's very good. Remove one U from the Nduh. Sawa. Okay. Good morning to you, Calvin. Boangi Juma says good morning Spice FM. How are you all this blessed Friday? CBC question. Name 4 loudest bitter CSs in Kenya.
Yeah, we'll mention one. Yes. It is only 2,000. We will not close schools. Where are you today? You forgot that the butcher was gonna come for you.
It's true. Not to say that he doesn't have a tall order where he's going. Yeah. Yes. Hapo ndo tuko leo asubuhi. It was so fun then being able to say good morning to everybody today. Karibuni sana. And thank you for joining us. Isa, you can even bake cake.
Yeah.
Somebody bakes cake here. Very delicious cake.
Isa, by the way, are you?
Bas. You know, Dennis can do like that. Yeah. Talk to us, Apochini.
We can bake, and actually, if you manage to come, we'll have cake.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll take a break.
Chocolate cake Monday.
Hey, tena. Umesikia tunakula chocolate cake Monday. Sasa umesema tunakuja Monday. Let's forget like I did. Let's take a little break. We'll come back and look into the headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
15 degrees, partly sunny conditions in Nairobi. We'll see a high of 24, and rather it'll be cloudy through Friday from what we see, and temperatures dropping just a slight little bit. Also at 11 degrees, partly sunny in Nakuru, 15 and cloudy into Njeri, and it's 19 and clear in Kisumu. It's 15 and clear in Kakamega, while at 23 it's partly sunny looking into Mombasa, partly sunny at 25 in Malindi, and at 18 it is sunny in Marsabit, 18 looking into Kampala and clear conditions, 21 and partly sunny into Dar es Salaam, where it's clear at 9 degrees in Johannesburg. It's 27 and clear in Lagos, and 15 and cloudy into London. 30 degrees, it's into monsoon season in Beijing. We'll see a high of 33, and heavy rain in New York. Thursday night is 29 degrees. Coming into Friday, we'll see a high of 35 and a low of 25.
Chilled Spice. Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, we're this morning kicking in from the city. There's traffic then coming in on the Thika Superhighway. Seeing a little bit of that coming through towards town. And it's going to clog up a little bit as you get towards the Pangani underpass, but not too crazy at the moment. As we get into Friday proper, we're likely to see that traffic build up just a little bit more. And also, as you get onto North Airport Road, there's traffic coming in from Embakasi, and outbound traffic is also busy right around Cabanas. But then that's the worst of it for about now. There is some traffic coming in on Ngong Road today. That Naivasha Road, Riara Road coming in towards Ngong Road is busy, and that's where we see the hook here and there. And also, as you come in towards Westlands from Wayaki Way, a smidgen of traffic as you approach that junction coming in from James Gishoro. That's the worst of it for now. Let's keep things moving and talk SpiceFM. KEONX, hashtag the Situation Room.
Most people don't know that there's a best battery for your car. And when you don't have exactly the right battery, not all batteries are the same. Make sure you get exactly the right battery for your car with Chloride Exide's super powerful Exide batteries with advanced technology designed for start-stop vehicles. Choose the best for your car. Choose Chloride Exide.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, let's look into the headlines this morning at 23 minutes to 7 o'clock. And what's making the headlines on Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, this morning? Oh, yes, Rose Grace, a very good morning to you. And you're tuned in this morning. Lovely to have you in the room. And also, Frederick, a very good morning to you. Karibu Sana. Harsh realities is what's on the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. Treasury's 4.82 trillion shilling budget promises growth, stability, and shared prosperity, while acknowledging there are challenges that will make the going rough. But for many Kenyans, it offers little escape from the crushing realities of daily life. As fuel prices rise, inflation bites, and household incomes shrink, traders, farmers, border riders, and small businesses fear tougher days ahead. For millions of families, the success of CS John Badi's budget will not be measured in projections of parliamentary applause, but in whether life becomes more affordable. Of course, the budget coverage goes from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. So where we're getting a thumbs up in this 4.8 trillion shilling budget is that 424.25 billion shillings is a significant increase to fund, among others, the recruitment of additional teachers. Whether these teachers will be recruited as PNP, we don't know, but that's what it's looking to. More teachers, because there is a teacher shortage in the country, as there are many other things. So 424 billion shillings goes towards that. 1.14 billion shillings is the allocation to the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. That almost doubled from 628 million shillings in the current financial year. You can ask questions as to why, but, just so we know. These are the folks who got a thumbs up.
We functioned in 2025 with 628 million. Why increase it to 1.4 billion?
Yeah. So
That's almost double.
It is double, almost double, just under double.
Yeah.
So the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary gets an allocation of 1.14 billion shillings.
I have a question.
Yes.
The man has 2 offices.
Yeah.
So do we have another separate budget
for MOFA?
Foreign Ministry?
Absolutely.
So that means you operate with 2 budgets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 24.97 billion shillings has been increased from 13 billion in the current year as the Commission prepares for the 2027 general election. This is under the IEBC. So IEBC will get some money, obviously, because they're going into an election year. 0% is the dialysis machines. They've been exempted from value-added tax to lower the cost of care for patients. So this is the thing, that machines like this are needed. If the universal health coverage is actually focusing on preventative as opposed to curative care, damage, dialysis, of course now dialysis machines are treatment, and the number of people who are under dialysis in the country rising. So if you have a low-cost machine, because usually you're charged for the machine. That's what you're charged for. If you have a low-cost machine, then you can reduce the end-user cost. So now that's one of the things whereby they say value-added tax has you are exempted from that on these dialysis machines. All right?
Would that be, does that then come together with policy when it comes to estimates on how much patients should pay in hospitals, or is it at the discretion of the hospitals?
Well, there's set, from what we understand from the Ministry of Health, is that in public hospitals, like dialysis, I don't know, it's a set amount. And even when insurance payouts come, it should not be more than a certain 9,000 bob a pop, but that has reduced. So we see that if now we're looking at the removal of VAT on these machines, then now amount that you pay across board for dialysis should reduce significantly.
Well,
up and do too good. Where it doesn't look too good in terms of the numbers that got a downward thumb sign, losers. State House, 13.44 billion shilling drop from the 17 billion as per the supplementary estimates for 2025-2026. So it looks like State House will get 13.4 billion shillings as opposed to 17.25 billion.
But that is still an increase, no?
It is.
Okay.
But the language is sweet, is it not?
Yeah. Because it's just playing with the numbers.
It's still an
increase. At the end
increase.
of the day, we've been talking about 17 billion. Now it's a decrease at 13, but you're not being told that it's increased from around 8 billion?
Yes. So you still get a 5 billion shilling increase.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. Roads, 228.57 billion shillings is a drop from 254 allocated in the current financial year. So a reduction of about 26 billion shillings in the road sector. Food importers, they have to pay a 35% import duty on selected processed food products to protect local industries. On this one, I actually agree.
Perfect, yeah.
I think so.
Protectionist
policies. This is what it looks like. Processed food, all your cans and whatever. Buy here first.
Can here.
Exactly. And make it possible for your local farmers to produce more.
Yes.
And so that you don't have to actually, and then, do what Kivuda Kibwana wanted to do in Makweni, when you have your mangoes and you can them. So you have pulp, you have juice, you have concentrate, all of these things. You build the industry. And then energy also gets a huge drop from 62.63 billion shillings in the supplementary estimates to 35.77 billion shillings. So, well, it's okay because they're charging fee. They're going to get the money back anyway.
When I read that, I read that together with the promise of manufacturing. So with energy not getting more investments, then our promise to be an industrialized nation and manufacturing will be key. Questions, because you need enough and sufficient power, even surplus, for you to say that manufacturing can take place.
Indeed. We have to look into those things. Of course, we're going into the budget analysis. We'll be doing some of that just at about 7 o'clock. Kenyans sought to lessen burden but offers little hope. He admits this, Badi. Out of touch hustlers say Mbadi's 4.8 trillion shilling plan will not uplift their lives. And we'll go into some of these issues as we talk with the CAM CEO at 7, because there are quite a number of them, from mobile phones to e-mobility to betting, scrap metals, all of that comes into play. The pump, as well as crypto. For those of you who are getting into the crypto, there's something about that as well. Health spending rises by 37 billion to plug the donor gap. That it can be done is a good realization. Let's look into that a little bit more. There's a bag of goodies for lecturers and teachers that it will translate into the real goodies in the coming year, which starts on the 1st of July. Would be interesting to see. CBAs, they are pending. Mixed reactions greet election year's budget. Pomp and colour as Mbadi delivers his second budget estimates in Parliament. Well, I don't understand what the hullabaloo is all about. Why must you have dinner and all of these things? You can read a piece of paper, read it, tell us how we're going to spend money, then move. But then you have to stay there and have dinner, after party. You have a party after because you read the budget. I don't get it. I've never understood, by the way, and I'm not being facetious.
I am repeating. You see, whatever this man was coming to present, we already had it. There was nothing new. It was just a beautiful paper, which is yellow for that matter, and that briefcase. Other than that, nothing new. If anything, you could even do that thing on Zoom.
Tindo?
Yeah.
I don't know. The celebration around reading of the budget. Why is it a celebration? Look, we could go on this forever. There's a tribute there as an honor of celebrating Dr. Chris Kirubi. It's been 5 years since his passing, and the voices of a legacy to celebrate him. Peter Kimani in the Seriously Speaking says, lest we forget, we keep kids in schools to keep them out of prison. You might want to get into that. Oh, sorry, I forgot to also say that one thing that was important here, vulnerable groups are to get, village elders are to get part of the lion's share of 42 billion shillings in terms of upliftment for life. Events that seem designed to keep us angry and in crisis mode is also in the op-eds this morning with Mosheri Karaja. You want to get yourself a copy of that because that will be very interesting to read. Ndong Evans also says that the High Court judges violated the Constitution in Gachagwa's case. He didn't mince his words in this one. That's one of the opinion pages that you want to look into. It's Friday. So the Pulse is in the Standard, and it has Dennis Aseto just a little bit confused for a few minutes there. But what we're going to do is that ask him to take his confusion and tell us what's in the pages of The Nation.
Let's go to The Nation.
All right.
The Balancing Act. We're talking about the budget 2026-2027. And in there showcases where the money would be going. So 92.5 billion shillings, free primary and secondary schools, 68 billion shillings to pay suppliers owed 100 million shillings and below. So that we're talking about pending bills, as well as provision for intern teachers and 4.9 billion shillings permanent employment for 20,000 intern teachers. So there you go. And 33.5 billion shillings cash for elderly persons, orphans and vulnerable children. So just some of the allocations that we see, and as well as proposed winners and losers as well in the same, and in the winning category. So there's VAT exemption for large commercial aircraft and aircraft spare parts. But we have losers, a VAT on mitumba to be charged at importation, and 25% excess duty on mobile phones charged at the point of activation. Ukinunua simu, ukiweka SIM card unaenda kuactivate, 25% excess duty needs to be paid. But a lot of economists are asking, who exactly is supposed to pay that? Is it you when you buy your phone, or is it the importer of the phone when they are selling it to you and you're activating it? Most of us buy phones, we go activate it elsewhere. So So Mbadi targets youth, rural voters in 4.82 trillion shillings. So Mbadi's statement revolved around initiatives the government has already implemented to benefit the youth and small businesses. So we talk about the youth, there is the Nyota program that has been given around 4.9 billion Kenya shillings there. Now, State Now differs intern teachers' absorption on permanent terms to January as TSC gets the 424 billion shillings. So let me take that again. State Now defers intern teachers' absorption on permanent terms to January as TSC gets the 424 billion shillings. So anyone who is to be employed on permanent and pensionable, itabidi ungoje until January.
So even with the beginning of the year coming in on 1st of July, it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be more hired and then be paid as PNP. So even those ones who are waiting to be moved from intern to PNP, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen now. You have to wait until January.
Wow.
Maybe, I don't know why, but remember school calendar as well starts in January.
Yeah.
So Referral hospitals, the biggest gainers as health budget up, and farmers welcome enhanced allocations to agriculture sector. There are others as well who say it's going to go up, especially when it comes to the production and manufacturing of feeds, because there is additional levies that have been put there. And 30 billion shillings from new fund to finance key energy plans. National Infrastructure Fund has emerged as a key source of funding for capital-intensive projects, including the transport industry. That is the pictorial of security cure very tight as the gentleman was in his vehicle being escorted by others who are walking to parliament buildings. Yes, that was intentional. Now, payee tax U-turn sparks backlash from lobbyists. President William Ruto said for Kenyans who are being paid 30,000 shillings and below, the government would waive payee from their for them, right?
Yeah.
But that was glaringly missing in the budget estimates that are being presented by CPA John Mbadi. And he also actually went further to say, you know, when I gave this proposal, was in April, the president just spoke the other day, so we are giving you a promise. We will not let you down. We will see how to work around it. But kama haiko kwa budget. Kama haiko kwa budget. 10 shot dead amid Ebola facility demos. High Court has certified as urgent application seeking to have Health CS Attorney General cited for contempt. Now, court battle over disputed quarantine project deepens its family tragedy, and public unrest continue to grip Laikipia County. And there's a picture there of Sylvester Mungai Nduh, who is a 16-year-old, a Form 3 student who was shot dead in Nanyuki Tuesday during protest against an Ebola quarantine facility. Care to comment?
I think that we have still not come to grips with the provisions for lobbying and protest that the Constitution allows. And that we also have not come to grips with the fact that it should take an extreme situation whereby there is untold danger from somebody who is armed as well for police to then engage their weapons. We haven't come to grips with those two things. And we don't even need to shout. We don't need to cry. We don't need to lament. It is just clear that we have failed to come to grips with the understandings of the Constitution. And that Kenya is not embracing its Constitution. It is not following the rules of the Constitution. It is not living by the Constitution. It's not living by the letter. It's not living by the spirit in a lot of instances. And now I don't say this in concert that everything is an abrogation of the Constitution, but it has just dawned on me in a very serious manner that have not come to grips with the Constitution in its entirety. And unfortunately, the indicators of this are very serious ones when it comes to the right to life, when it comes to the right to then be able to open your mouth and express your opinion, or then be able to stand in protest, and then to then be able to say, how do you protect your people? No, it has not happened. And if that doesn't make you shudder, then perhaps values have been tossed out the window.
And I think glaringly as well that what is missing is the command responsibility question, where who then bears the responsibility when you see police officers who've been deployed and given a command by somebody, pulls the trigger, people are dead. But even at investigation point, we know in this country, not anybody can have a firearm. Especially during protests, we know who has the firearm. Therefore, it's even easier to do the investigation. So it is a question of, we have allowed bad manners to continue for a very long time. The Constitution and its implementation and its protection still remains being just a suggestion. And until that changes, perhaps still have a very long
way to go. Absolutely long way to go. Still living in a draconian state of affairs whereby if you open your mouth and actually shoot you, or if you stand in the street and actually shoot you. I'm yet to find the place where it says that standing in protest against something is a crime. That boy is 16 years old. What did he do?
What does he do?
The front page of the Star this morning: school, roads and hospital top in Badi's 4.8 trillion shilling budget. Of course, coming back to schools there, we know that the bulk of that money goes towards the hiring of teachers in the next financial year. Why United Opposition faces an uphill battle to name a candidate. Okay, so people are saying call it already so that we know what we're doing. But, give them a minute, I guess. I don't know what they're doing, but it seems that there are interests that are crossing one another. Even people within Linda Mwananchi are said to be saying certain things about where they stand. You're going to color the people a little bit confused if you're not able to have a clear position.
True.
Linda Mwananchi is in thicker this weekend, for all we know.
Yeah.
Court allows mum of slain singer Wandeto to bury her remains. And I think this is a good thing that she's been released to her mother.
Yeah.
To be able to do this, even though there was a father or there was a man, somebody claiming to be her father, who wanted the rights. Court said, "Nana, mother, bury your child." Charles Hinger is the permanent secretary in the State Department of Housing, and he has said that affordable housing plan is here to stay. So if you were trying to wish it away, no. Wish upon a star. No, he said no. Una Lisa?
I saw an allocation for affordable housing.
So in the money?
In the money, right?
Yeah.
Yet we know affordable housing is what you are deducted, right?
Yeah.
So if you deduct me, that means you already have funds, of which you can never determine how much it is because people get employed every other new day. So that amount is subject to increase or reduce depending on job opportunities that are there. So when you allocate monies to affordable housing, what are you doing? Because you get money every other month.
Remember what Abraham Rogo said yesterday? Rogo said yesterday is that there are a lot of cases of duplicitous taxing in the country. So when you say that the money that you are that is being deducted from your pay every month to the amount of 2.75%, when that 2.57, what the case may be, when that money is deducted from you, essentially, that money you can come back and buy a house later. How many of the people? I just want to know. I just want to know. How many people who've been deducted over the last 4 years, as has been the case, actually see themselves going to purchase a house, and live in it with that money later on in life? You're going to, not even with that money. There are too many crossed lines here. So within the budget, housing gets some money, but you're also being deducted. So is it a combination? Is all of this in concert for you to go and buy a house, or rather to save towards a house to build these houses for which you may never ever own one? So who is it for? If there's been a debacle of confusion, it still remains. I remember when Charles Hinger was sweating all over the place to explain to people what this was and how this was going to work. 4 years later, it is still not understood. My good friend P.S. Hinger, you need to explain some more.
I think for me, a proposal would be the government of Kenya should look at my contribution over time and let that be my down payment to buying that house, because they have the details.
Or if you don't want to buy a house later, you can get your money back.
Thank you.
Media is urged to deepen Kenya-China people-to-people ties. I don't know, but okay. We'll look into the budget highlights as well. Education gets lion's share as Treasury allocates 784 billion shillings. God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Abednego. Please, let them this year just take the money that has been allocated for education, actually use it this time towards education. Please, if it suits your goodwill and purpose, just please speak to them and let them actually do it.
Capitation
in Jesus' name. Mixed reactions greet Mbadi's 4.8 trillion shillings budget after that prayer. Now, Nyakango rejects a 70 billion shilling state emergency spending. Okay. You know, an emergency. Hey, there is somebody sick, come quickly. That's an emergency, okay? What kind of emergency by the state needs 70 billion shillings? Yani, quick. Hey, Margaret, able to 70 billion? What happened?
Flooding.
Let me tell you very quickly. Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, has blocked spending plans worth 70 billion shillings that vary. So now all these ministries, they had emergencies to authorize under the emergency clause. Yani, quick. Ebu piga simu. Ebu tuma boda. Because it's crazy.
Ministry na kohoa. Kuna hoba.
Kuna hoba. Send money, urgent 2K, not happening. Margaret said no. While ministry sought to spend 276 billion shillings under the emergency clause, only 206.8 billion shillings was approved, with emergency development budget standing out. Of the 70 billion rejected, 22.6 billion relates to recurrent expenditure. So it's not an emergency.
No.
Recurrent means it has what? Happened before and happens normally. Ray. It's not an emergency. C. So Margaret said, yo, urgent 2K. Serial.
Pambana kama Wakenya wengine hapa. Jitume nani.
Thank you nani. So Margaret says, Musinibebe ufala nyinyi. Amna emergency. Recurrent expenditure. We are allocating a significant amount of that to recurrent expenditure. Pana.
You know what Margaret told them? Mwache kukua madingo. Okay, madingo is thieves.
Okay, stop it. So, your agent 2K, Leo, I'm
party. Margaret, good job.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll talk budget at 7. Good morning.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the newswire. I'm Sheila Timbor. Treasury CS John Mbadi has dismissed the opposition's proposed people's budget, saying any credible alternative budget must be backed by independent analysis and detailed planning. Speaking during a post-budget briefing at Parliament buildings in Nairobi, Mbadi accused opposition leaders of repackaging figures from the government budget and finance bill and presenting them as their own proposals. Said leaders seeking to offer an alternative budget should develop their own estimates rather than rely on government data, adding that a country cannot be run using figures prepared by others. Mbadi also described the opposition's proposals as unprofessional.
And I can go on, but I am now leaving it to Kenyans to hold the leaders who just make sweeping statements and who sometimes pick my figures, remove a few data from my figures, take my finance bill and claim to be providing alternative budget. If you want to provide alternative budget, have your people to do simulation. You will not manage the country if you, God forbid, become president with my data, because I will not be there to supply the data for you. So, mwambie hao wengine, in fact, in my language, they say, preparing budget ya kalongolongo.
His remarks came a day after the opposition coalition unveiled the people's budget, which it says prioritizes education, healthcare, job creation, and lowering the cost of living while reducing the budget deficit. In a statement read by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, the coalition accused President William Ruto's administration of pursuing economic policies it claims are wasteful, burdensome, and harmful to low-income Kenyans. The government is proposing a new debt management measures aimed at easing Kenya's growing debt burden, which currently stands at 12.8 trillion shillings. Treasury CS John Mbadi says the government is considering debt for food and debt for development swaps as part of efforts to strengthen the country's fiscal position. Under the proposal, some creditors will cancel part of Kenya's debt in exchange for investments in key sectors, including food production, infrastructure, and other development projects. Mbadi says the approach will lower debt servicing costs while directing resources to projects that benefit citizens, enhance food security, and support sustainable economic growth.
Are designed to broaden the investor base, optimize the cost risk profile of public debt, and enhance overall resilience in debt management. In this regard, the government is considering thematic and liability management instruments such as debt for food swaps and debt for development swaps.
According to the latest figures, Kenya's public debt stood at 12.82 trillion shillings as of March 2026, comprising of 5.68 trillion shillings in external debt and 7.14 trillion shillings in domestic debt. Interest payment alone amount to 1.25 trillion shillings. The National Treasury also plans to diversify its funding sources by tapping international markets through bond issuances in Japan and China. Meanwhile, the 2026-2027 budget has allocated 68 billion shillings to settle verified pending bills owed to suppliers and contractors. Claims of up to 100 million shillings are expected to be cleared within the next 2 years. The government says these measures will boost economic activity, improve cash flow, and support sustainable debt management. To matters politics, ODM party leader Oburu Oginga says any coalition talks between the party and the ruling UDA ahead of the next general election must be based on a 50-50 power sharing arrangement. Speaking during a meeting with leaders from Taita Taveta County, Oburu said all positions, including the presidency, will be open for negotiations if the two parties pursue a coalition.
na hawa, lakini bado nilikuambia tuliingia kwa dirisha, lakini sasa tunaendelea, tunataka kuikaza tukiendelea mbele, tukiongea tutafanya coalition. Ile coalition tutakuwa naye, tutagawa 50-50, hakuna kingine. Hiyo ndio sasa itakuwa ni real power. Ndio tunataka kuwa ndani tufanye pamoja, na ikiwa tumefungwa kila kitu tutanegotiate mpaka hata hiyo ya presidency tutanegotiate.
He also urged ODM members to remain united despite internal disagreements, saying party cohesion will strengthen its bargaining power in future talks.
Mimi ninajua kuna tofautiana kidogo kwa chama, na hii kutofautiana sio Taita Taveta peke yake. Tuko na shida hata Nyanza, tuko na shida hata Western, hata hapa Nairobi, kila mahali. Lakini tunajaribu kutatua. We are trying our best to make sure that our party remains one.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
Because this is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used for everything and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They are being sent home now for fees. They are going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them there already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning to you. It's 8 minutes after 7 o'clock, and Karibu Sana. Thank you for being in the Situation Room with us this morning. Wherever it is that you're tuned in around the region, the country, and the world, thank you so much for being here with us as we have this conversation. And we're getting into it this Friday. It's the final day in the week. and it's a day after the budget was read.
Yes.
And there are many things that were said. There are many people who are saying, well, no, this not too bad because it comes into play for us. Others are saying, well, it looks like it's going to be a tough year ahead. Well, we'll have to see what happens because certain things will still be debated. And the finance bill, of course, come into play. And of course, with the debate continuing, will it then become, the Finance Act the way it is, or will that change in any way, shape or form? So these are the conversations that we're going to be having this hour. And we're going to get into it today proper and look into the details of what then happens next. And to help us out in that conversation, already in the hot seat this morning is the... I beg your pardon, the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Tobias Alando, is with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very good.
Yes.
Thanks for having me today.
Karibu Sana, thank you for joining us in the Situation Room today.
Yes.
It's a day after Budget Day. It's like Christmas and then Boxing Day. And then Boxing Day when everybody opens up the presents. But the question is, are we going to open up presents that everybody wants to have, or is it something you're going to want to stuff back in the box and toss it out the window? Those are conversations that we'll have today as we get into it. As you know, Dennis goes around the African continent every week. He comes back from a different country with their proverbs. We'd love to get your interpretation today.
Today we are in Guinea. Very beautiful country. Capital is, you said what? Conakry. Conakry. And one thing that is known about Guinea is the fact that they are the largest producers of bauxite, which is used in the production of aluminium, which now is turning out to be one of the most expensive or important metals. Because you think about phones, think about vehicles, and it lives there. Now, if you go to the States today, assuming you get your visa, right, they call it aluminum. But if you go to Brits, they call it aluminium. So depending on where it is you are. But let's go to the proverb. The God says, what belongs to the sheep does not involve me until the butcher arrives. How would you interpret it?
The God says what belongs to the sheep
does not involve me.
Yes.
Until the butcher arrives.
Typically means you're all the same in the eyes of someone who has an interest in you.
Yeah.
So they all meet ultimately. And the butcher will definitely slaughter both of them. Yes, irrespective of which one is a sheep, which one is a goat.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if the sheep was trying to run away, perhaps come up with a strategy to run together.
To escape, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well said.
Indeed. All right, Tobias, it's a day after Budget Day.
Correct.
For a lot of the numbers, generally speaking, people were, whether involved in the sector or got a little bit of information out of the media, you kind of knew where some of this money was going and maybe where some of it was going to come from. And then how it's going to be spent, you kind of had an idea. Maybe on the expenditure part is a totally different question. But then with the reading of the budget, then it became very clear what those were.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of the details of all of this. But coming from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, but as well as the economy in general, where we know that in order for an economy to grow, that there's certain things that you must do. It's not a question of can we get away with. No. You must do them if you want the economy to grow. If you're not doing those things, don't expect the growth of the economy. Now, looking into those and looking into what the Cabinet Secretary wasn't able to deliver yesterday, do we see, or what do we see, and how is this welcomed?
So it's a mixed feeling in terms of the budget, but overall you look at what I call the microeconomics. And for the last couple of years, we've had a stable interest rate, which is very crucial at 129 to the US dollar. And then you also look at the inflation rate, which is at 4.4. And lastly, you look at forex reserves, which Kenya has about 13.7 billion USD. We have our investors or members operating in other countries where you are cued to import raw materials because of inability accessing dollars. So that stability is really important. And we've seen that in the past couple of years. The question is, as we move to the next couple of years or the next year based on this budget, 4 trillion budget, are we going to have similar stability of the microeconomics? We have a budget deficit of over 1 trillion for the first time. How are we going to fill in the gap?
Yeah.
And that's a major question. Of course, there is a conversation in terms of look into private sector investment to fill in that gap, but private sector will require to be assured of one is stability of the economy for anyone to put in that money to fit into the deficit. So there are a couple of questions that we definitely have, and if those questions can be answered, then I can confidently lift my thumb and say this is good or not.
Why would those questions not have been answered? Because he did give reasons. He talked about the 1.1 trillion shilling budget deficit.
Yes.
He says it was says that he was cautious not to impose any or many punitive taxes. So perhaps we're not going to come back to Kenyans and say give us that money because we don't want people to go to the streets. But then he did keep doling out goodies. Can you say we have a deficit here and it's going to be difficult, and on this side we also say but we're going to hire more teachers, they're not going to be permanent and pensionable yet. Dennis tells us not till January. We're going to give 42 billion shillings to rural folk. Can you do two of those things in the same space?
That's why that's why I'm saying it is something to watch and see, because a deficit of 1 trillion is not a little amount of money. And even without looking at the deficit, already the planned collection, you're not assured. If you look at last year's, we had a shortfall of almost, we planned to collect about 3.5 trillion. We collected 3.2. So we already had a shortfall in terms of the revenue collection without even the budgeted deficit. So this year, you look at it and you're like, okay, are we going to collect what we plan to collect, first of all? If we are not able to collect what we plan to collect, how are we going to fit that deficit? That's why in the ministries they have said they're going to have zero-based budget. What does zero-based budget means? Means Treasury is not going to fund some of the ministry, department and agencies. They are going to raise their revenue. And when they raise their revenue, we will have cases where we have had before where agencies are raising levies. And who is going to pay those levies? The businesses. It means we are not taxing you on the other side, but we are going to tax you on these levies, fees, and charges, which, from where we sit, raises the cost of doing business for the manufacturing sector.
Tobias, when you look at the budget, already when it comes to raising revenue and the projections that have been put there, there is a high possibility that what has been stated as what we might not get there. So already we're getting in with the deficit of 1.1 trillion. But then again, if we do not meet the target, there is the second deficit, which will top up on the 1.1 trillion. But that notwithstanding, again, we look at the overall cost of doing business. There is unemployment that we have at the moment, and we are not seeing anything that has been geared towards improving on manufacturing, which would then bridge the gap and ensure that we have the unemployed get employed. Because we're not seeing even investment in energy, to say that we have enough power to invite more investors into the country. So when you look at the budget and all these things not being factored in, what are the stopgap measures then, if any?
So I looked at the numbers, particularly last year's numbers in terms of jobs created. And my concern was, out of the jobs that were created last year, there were about 822,000 new jobs. But out of these 822,000 new jobs, most of them were in the informal sector. Meaning they are not in the tax bracket. So the burden of taxation still remains to the known employed people and tax and who pay taxes. These other informal guys, maybe they will pay other taxes in terms of consumption tax, but ultimately they are not in the tax bracket. And my question and worry is, how do we get them on board into the tax bracket so that the burden that typically is on the people we know that pay taxes can be relieved?
Yes.
And that is a question that we have. 87.2% of those new jobs are from the informal sector. And they are not in the tax bracket.
You know, and this has all been, many have touted to be an election budget. And we know what elections does to would-be investors. Because everybody now, because they're getting into that political silly season, everybody wants to stay away, you know, because of what our elections have been before. Now, with that in mind and funding this budget, how realistic are we? How realistic is this budget factoring that we have elections?
It is tough to be in Mbadi's shoes because you're not juggling a ball, you're juggling eggs. If you drop one, it cracks. And having a balance of the numbers is really crucial. So we are looking at a fiscal deficit of which is 5.2 of the GDP, which is really huge burden. And like I said, my major worry is when we push for a zero-based budget, then these taxes are going to be collected in another way that we don't know. So right now it may look grossy and nice, but until we see some regulations and until we see some changes, then we can confidently say, oh, we are not being taxed. Or we are going to be taxed. Because you remember, certain agencies are due to review their tariffs. Certain agency, and I'm quite sure that with this kind of budget and the deficits that we have, the tariffs are going to increase in one way or the other.
Okay. So this is an issue that continues to be one. That the things, interestingly enough, that folks cry about, because, I mean, look, we'll talk about that, because one of the things that media does, even when there is a budget that's being put out, is that you go to the people and you hear what it is that they have to say. When you take that number and you translate it for them and what it means, and they say, well, we don't feel it, the micro that you speak about. So John Mbadi also admitted that he knew that there was a burden on, they know that there's a burden on people. One of the only ways to sort out that burden, wherever sector you look at it, whether it's in education, whether it's in health, whether it's in services, is to make sure that the economy is growing. One of the only surefire ways to grow the economy is to increase your manufacturing index. So that you can sell for surplus and profit to then put back into the country, right?
Yes.
So if there is an acknowledgement of that gap, why wouldn't there be a subsequent action to ensure that that solution then is achieved so that you can sort out these pain points? Why wouldn't that happen?
So we have seen in the budget a couple of proposals geared towards protecting the manufacturing sector.
Yes, which we applaud, actually.
Which we mentioned applaud, that. Yes, which we applaud. And I'll just come back to it later. But I'm looking at, because you look at the previous numbers and then do a comparison with this year's. So if you look at the output in terms of the growth of the manufacturing sector among the key sectors that drive the economy grew by 2%. 2%.
It's nothing.
It's nothing, very little. The agri sector grew by 3.1%. Service sector 5%. Construction 6.8%. Mining and quarry 14.9%. To me, this figure should be the other way around.
Yeah.
Manufacturing sector needs to grow further than what it is growing. If you look at the biggest economies in the world, they are driven by the manufacturing sector. Any economy that, look at the US, look at Asia, all these big economies, their key drivers is manufacturing. Our GDP contribution has continually been dropping. Previous year it was 4.4. It drops last year to 4.1. The last time we had a double-digit growth of about 12.9 or 11% was in 2013. What are we doing to make that change in terms of growth of the manufacturing sector?
And for purposes of clarification, sorry, yes. Tobias, when we say manufacturing, because we often think manufacturing is just heavy-duty vehicles. Manufacturing is across board, is it not?
It is
from food to packaging to shoes to clothes. Anything that can be made is manufacturing.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So manufacturing is cross-board and it has potential. Okay. And the ambitious plan we had, if all factors remained the same, was the manufacturing sector was going to contribute to 1 million jobs. Currently, we contribute to about 360 million jobs. 360,000 jobs. And the proposal was, if factors remain the same, we'll move from 360,000 to around 1 million jobs. Our contribution to the GDP in terms of revenue is about 350 billion Kenyan shillings. And the ambitious plan is to move 350 billion to 1 trillion. So you already see, and then move from where we are at 7% GDP contribution to around 20% GDP contribution. But the other factors that we said, okay, for us to move here, we need one, adherence to the national tax policy, because anyone investing in this country requires predictability. Predictability of the tax base, which we have not seen. The national tax policy was passed, and adherence to this national tax policy is still the question. Number two, the cost of electricity. The cost of electricity in Kenya is still very expensive. We signed into some PPAs agreement, power purchase agreement, that has tied us to a specific cost. Unless and until we review these PPAs, we are going to still get stuck into this cost. 70% more expensive. Uganda is cheaper. Tanzania is cheaper. Yes, we may have stable energy, but the cost of energy in Africa, we are still more expensive. The other thing, of course, which we have seen an improvement in terms of infrastructure, which is good, but the other thing that is key for the manufacturing sector that inhibits the growth of the sector is the taxation of raw materials. A couple of raw materials we use as input are still being taxed. And in a budget proposal that we submitted, I've seen a few review on that, and I'm hoping if we read in between the lines, then it will be as what we had proposed. But taxation of raw material has been key. Now remember, the regional counterparts are also growing.
Yes,
Tanzania is growing. They're attracting manufacturing. So our market share that we've had in terms of our export to Uganda, export to Tanzania, is reducing because they are also producing what we were exporting to them.
Okay.
So it's sort of a competitive environment that the government needs to relook into the manufacturing sector. A total shift in our strategy on how we look at the manufacturing sector would be the way to go.
And when you talk about a total shift or investing more into the manufacturing sector, one area that we can't afford not to talk about is the debt aspect of this budget, where we see that majority of the debt that would be taken, credit that would be taken by government will be local. You know, we're talking about close to 900 billion actually. And what that does is it crowds out investors, it crowds out the private sector, and even Oranchi in accessing credit because of the risk factor that is there. So then, how does that make it difficult even for manufacturing locally to expand? Because there is no credit. Credit is very expensive for anyone who wants it because the appetite isn't given government.
Yes. That's an interesting question because you look at the private capital that is needed. So someone says, instead of investing in the manufacturing sector, which I'm not guaranteed in terms of return, there's a lot of unpredictability, why don't I invest in the government bonds? Why don't I invest in government bonds? I'm guaranteed of return. So we are diverting in investment into sectors that would easily spark growth. So there needs to be a balance. I'm not saying people do not need to invest in the government bonds and all that because they're guaranteed return. But there's need to be a balance if we are looking at sectors that easily would spur the economy and drive certain investment. Okay, we've seen investment coming in, but it's not local investment.
Yes.
Rarely do you see Kenyans and say, let's invest in the manufacturing sector. And that's a conversation that we need to say to change and ask our own people to invest in the manufacturing sector, feed our own people, instead of people coming, which is good. People need to come from other countries and invest. But if we own the manufacturing sector, it has been put at the back end by even our own people.
Yes.
In terms of the manufacturing sector. So it's people shying off in this investment because there are other lucrative ways to make money. Manufacturing requires patience, and the revenue generated return of investment is long term. It's only if you're patient, Dennis, you can definitely invest in the manufacturing sector.
The thing that again puzzles me is that Treasury is not in want of folks who understand these indicators and these trends. Treasury has economists, statisticians, even mathematicians, geniuses who understand the curve, actuarists who understand the curve of economics, who understand that it's formulaic. If you want this to happen, this is what you must do. I mean, we figured it out here in 30 minutes. Why wouldn't you then apply the formula for the thing to work? Because what we are doing now is that perhaps some money is just, I mean, this is the budget, this is what it says. Perhaps some money is being put in places whereby, okay, let's just do it so that we can get down the hill, right? And then the monies that seem to be absolutely necessary to make sure that you can plug the holes. It's kind of like repeating my question, but why wouldn't you do that? Because we talk about the tax. All the tax hikes that you see is where they're going to get the money to fill this gap for what they want to do. It's not necessarily because they want to make the industry better or that they want to make it more robust. It's that we need some extra coin. So here is a new place where we can get some more taxes and levies so that we can now take that money and plug this hole. It's Peter, Paul. That's what's happening. It doesn't seem to be going forward. It's just playing from left to right. So is it that they give suggestions and then they're not listened to? Or what would happen in a situation whereby you see the problem, you see the solution, but these two are not getting married?
It's not that they don't listen or they don't talk to us. In fact, in terms of public participation, I would commend them. We've had one of the best conversations this year, but whether that translates into proposals that we made into the final document, that's the second question that we have. But where they are, like I said, it's juggling an egg. So they're looking at manufacturing, for example, it's a long-term gain. And a long-term gain requires when you have a few coins to invest for an investment that will give you quick return,
right,
you will put at the backside the one that will take long. So they look at sectors or areas that would easily give them the revenue immediately.
Like this now, mobile phone, tax hike,
exactly. You look at the numbers, how many people are having phones.
Okay.
That is easy to collect. That is easy to get.
So the rationale here is from this budget is that they've gone to the sector where there are multiple players.
Correct.
And there is a high population.
Correct.
Who can pay a little bit of something,
Yes.
and then they can collect big money.
Very correct.
Aha.
Very correct.
Okay. How sustainable is that?
Because everyone is using a mobile phone,
right?
So and I'm not looking at a change that may happen that people will stop using phone. So this is definitely an easier way to collect.
So you can then be assured.
You're assured
that with no creativity next year, there will be yet another tax.
Will increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you look at sectors like, for example, e-mobility. E-mobility. One of the fastest growing sectors, and I appreciate that they have done in terms of removal of input taxes towards a mobile phone assembly, towards e-mobility, because this is going to be a key driver, even with the cost of energy going up. Everyone now is turning into electric vehicles and electric motorbikes, two-wheelers, and electric tuk-tuks, three-wheelers. But once again, we have many of these, I guarantee you there will be a tax. Yes.
Yeah. So that's why also then there's an increase on fuel, petrol, because everybody's using it. So that's an easy place to go to raise the price and collect.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So, for manufacturing to make sense to Aseto as an investor, I must be guaranteed that as much as it is a long short game where I have to wait, but I must at least see return on investment, right? But with where the country finds itself, where disposable income has gone down because of high taxation that you find, manufacturing or investors are saying, kidogo, Kenyans are not spending as expected. It does not make sense for me to set up business. It does not make sense for me to expand because I will have dead stock. So in terms of new levies, because there's no direct taxes, but there are new levies that have been hidden left, right, center, which has made Kenyans to just spend on what they need today, right?
Yes.
So with that then, and inflation as well that it keeps on growing, how easy or how difficult is it then to fund the budget? Because where Kenyans do not have disposable income to spend, then you do not have much more collections.
I think we're on record even joining the proposal that Kenyan Bankers Association had of reducing income tax to certain cadres. The current pay rates needs to be reviewed, because we did an assessment in terms of disposable income in December, actually last year. You look at December 2025, December 2024, in terms of how much a person is spending on certain common products, and you realize it reduced by around 20-25%. So if last year, because we know we measure our spending in December, so in 2024 spending was higher than 2025, and even in the previous year, because of this reduced disposable income, and it's through the taxes that came in, the housing levy that was there was the SHA charges that were there, and NSSF. So eating into your pay slips, and we had joined in the proposal that we need to reduce the income tax on payee, particularly on this lower cadre people, to allow them to have a high disposable income so that they can buy our goods. So otherwise we will produce and then nobody will be able to consume what we produce ultimately.
Yet, despite that proposal, there was a promise that was given by the president that everybody who is around 30,000 shillings and below would not have pay. It would be removed. But yesterday, at the budget reading statement, that did not exist. It's not there. The cabinet secretary addressed himself saying that, it's because I had prepared this thing earlier. The president gave this statement just the other day, but we will include it. But one asked the question, if it does not exist in the budget, what exactly are you telling us?
So
what magic?
There can be amendments, or when they're discussing in Parliament, there can be amendments in the budget, and that if that is done in terms of amendments, then that will be a great win for the citizen, especially the lower cadre category of people whose disposable income right now is strenuous.
I have to ask a difficult question. Where's the honesty? Because during the public participation, it was your proposal, not even the president's. So the president was pretty much coming with that proposal after the fact that you had met with the relevant committees and gave the proposal. That the document in Parliament yesterday did not have your proposal in it. Where's the honesty? As manufacturers, where's the honesty?
They have to be honest to us because we are keen on listening on every promise that they make as a government. And these promises or these proposals that we make are not for self-gain. They are for the common mwananchi. So any proposals that touches on a common mwananchi, I think, should be taken seriously. And jokes aside, I mean, if indeed he had made the budget statement before that proposal had come in, then he needs to honor his word and say this is what we are going to do about it.
Okay, so if we look at the trajectory that obviously we know, so come the 1st of July, we get into a new year. This budget kicks in. There's debates in Parliament that's still taking place, still an opportunity for people to, send in their views. But is there any convincing that needs to be done to say, okay, really, if this is the way you want things to go, this is what you must do? Or are we just looking at now, surface level conversations?
For me, okay, based on the proposals that we submit, we don't look at the surface level conversation. We look at data. And in this data, we look at the previous year's proposal, what impact has it had in the sector? And then we say, based on this, why don't you review? For example, there were taxes that were introduced on craft paper, one of the packaging material, and the proposal was there is already an investor that is doing those packaging material, needs to be protected, which we support. And then a verification exercise was done previously, and it was found out that the investor is still not ready or is not producing the said packaging material. Then in that case, we need not to impose duty or import, because this packaging material is crucial for our flowers, it's crucial for our avocados, it's crucial generally for our export. And based on that data, then we make a decision. So it's not about feelings. It is not about I want, you don't want. It's about the data and the research. So as a country, we need to be making decisions based on data and research, not based on personal interests of particular people or particular grouping.
Tobias, as you say that, there was a national economic survey. There is a national economic survey that is done. The same treasury, these folks that we talk about are the ones that commission this survey.
Yes.
The indicators, the data that you talk about is put together in a report. This report is released to the public. So even before the budget comes into play, they know what the forecast is. They know what the indicators for a forward-facing economy are. They know what the pain points are. They put it in a report. One would imagine that data and information that you speak of, Tobias, is available to them. It should be the building blocks of the budget.
Correct.
So how can you they have the data.
Yes.
How can you then have the data and it's telling you one thing that should be the menu, but you decide to go left completely? Why would you do that? I really am stumped to understand. You have the information, you have the data, you have the indicators, you have the forecast, you have it all. Take it together, form a budget that makes sense with all of those things taken into consideration. But we don't. Why?
That's very unfortunate, and I'm not holding brief for the National Treasury.
Okay.
I'm just saying from the policy space what we feel should be done. If we are going to make decisions based on data, then the country will move in the right direction.
Okay.
But if we make decisions based on what certain sectors feel, but even us as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, it's not about our feeling, it's about the data. So we present it, and it can be questioned and it can be verified. I would love the National Treasury and the government generally to say, we are objecting this because we've ran through this data and it doesn't make sense.
Yes. Yeah.
But don't reject our proposal just based on interests or feelings.
You know, Tobias,
yeah,
we will talk about taxation, and there is what the national government proposes, but then again, we have the counties.
Yes.
All this manufacturing that you talk about, right, are also situated in different counties, where counties as well would come with their set of finance bills with their own revenue-raising mechanisms, and that will equally go to these manufacturing sectors in those counties as well, leave alone the national government. And even when transporting goods from one point to the other, one county to the other, there is cess that is paid, which then are the levies that you're talking about that overall contribute to the cost of product on the shelf. Now, we've established that for manufacturing to grow, everything has to be looked at. But how then do we have conversations from both levels of government, national and county governments, to have an understanding that if we make it easier for manufacturing to grow, then we make more people get employed, deal with an employment question, and just make the economy do good for everybody? Are these conversations that we are having with these counties, and what are the response?
I think one of the pain points we've had is doing business at the subnational level, which is the county governments. The county governments are out to collect revenue.
Yes.
And they have imposed a lot of levies and fees and charges that are more or less duplication.
Yeah.
So you pay it at the national government, and then you pay it at the county level. They'll give it different names to generate revenues. And it has been a pain point in terms of even movement of goods from one county and to another. I have produced my goods here in Nairobi. I need to take it to my clients in Kajiado. Reaching Kajiado, I am asked to pay. Yet I'm sending goods to a distributor who has a license in Kajiado. I'm asked to pay a fee to enter Kajiado. Doesn't make sense in any country. Doesn't make sense at all. So it is not based on any reasonable fact, but it is based on we need to collect revenue, so you have to pay. So what this is doing is increasing the cost of doing business. So you'd say, I would rather not go to that market. But if you don't go to that market, will your people eat bread? For example, to use bread, I need to take bread to Kajiado. People in Kajiado need to eat bread. Why am I being charged? Yet I am coming from Kiambu, I've already paid the required license.
Yeah.
So we push for what we call Uniform License Procedures Act.
Yes.
And this intent is to harmonize all the fees and charges within different counties to enable goods to move, so that if I've paid licenses in Kiambu, I can move in any county without any charges. And it's still under the developing regulations, and we are pushing to have that done. But if I was to make a call in this country, I would even reduce the number of counties. If I was to make a call, that's me.
You're joining an interesting group of people who have also made the same sentiment, expressed the same sentiment, and quite publicly so. When we talk about the manufacturing sector, we want to come back here because insistence that this is probably the one that is going to save the economy, and that everybody recognizes that agriculture too. When we talk about the inputs, this is now where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
That if you're going to have protectionist policies, there are two things that you must do. Number one, make the inputs more affordable.
Correct.
And then you must also make the imports more expensive.
Yes.
Now, when we look at things like the livestock sector, farmers are crying every day that things like cotton seed cake, sunflower seeds, those things are so expensive. It is difficult for them to make the meal that they need in order for these animals to feed and then grow to sizes where they can sell. And so why would it be difficult to reduce the amount, or rather reduce the taxes and or levies on these products? Is it something that, because every time we talk about this, we're told, well, we reduce the cost of fertilizer. Okay, fantastic. And we've applied subsidies. What more can be done to ensure that happens? Because I see a situation whereby you have people are farming, people are in poultry, people are in livestock, people are in seeds and veg and all kinds of things, but are not able to realize because the inputs are too expensive. This is all part of manufacturing.
Correct.
What would be needed to do?
What needs to be done is clear. Reduce taxation on inputs to grow the manufacturing sector in this country. And looking at this current budget, we've seen reduced taxation on various inputs for different sectors, for furniture, for leather, for pharmaceutical, and many other sectors that I've noted. This definitely will spur the growth of those sectors, because when I import my raw materials at a higher rate, then that means my final product that I produce will be very expensive. And remember, these products can also be sourced elsewhere internationally. So we need an element of duty protection in terms of imports that come in to compete with our local manufacturers. There are sensitive conversations that we also have, and where Treasury sits, there needs to be a balance. Because when you talk about promoting the textile and apparel sector in the country, and then on the other hand, there is the second-hand clothing.
Yes.
There needs to be a balance. Do we want to grow our local textile, or do we want to rely on imported clothing?
It's an escape, though, isn't it, Jade?
It's a catch-22, because one thing, we are looking at affordability. Do we want to make the local apparel and clothing affordable to match the imports?
Yeah, because let's be honest, you can buy a t-shirt for 100 shillings.
Correct.
Or 50.
Yes.
You can buy a t-shirt for 30 shillings.
Correct.
Is the local industry, textile industry, then going to be able to develop so much so that you can then offer to people who will buy a t-shirt for 30 shillings? Can you sell the same thing, or is that not what we're looking at?
It is a journey.
Okay.
But it starts somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. We can't just say, okay, now
sell your stuff at 30 shillings.
Sell your stuff, because now we can't make clothes.
Right.
Because we're exporting jobs.
Right.
So it is a balance. It is something that we need to balance. We balance imports of second-hand clothing, but also we try and grow the textile and apparel sector. So when it reaches a level where we can be able to produce clothes at the lowest affordable rate, then we totally reduce imports. But there's a required balance.
Tobias, because even when we just talk about the textile sector, I believe it's not just a conversation on, we'll tell farmers, please, we've given you seeds, BT cotton seeds that will withstand climate change and everything, please just keep on growing. It has to be a conversation where when you tell farmers to grow BT cotton that we need for textile industry, we must as well have conversation on setting up production facilities that will add value on that cotton for us to have fabric, where then the local textile industry, our fundis, can prepare all these beautiful clothes that we want to have within the market. So that at the end of the day, if we are importing 60 tons of mitumba, we can say for the year 2026 we are reducing that to 40, so that the balance comes from the local manufacturers. Because we can't have conversations of growing cotton if we are again exporting cotton to China, to Turkey, and buying clothes from them. It is counterproductive.
I agree with you 100%. And that investors who wants to put in a ginnery to process this cotton needs to have an assurance from the same government that we are going to protect you in terms of imports. Otherwise, if imports are just allowed anyhow, then this guy who has put up an investment who requires many farmers to plant cotton, then will say, oh, no, this investment doesn't make sense.
Then why can't counties do that? Because look at every single county, there is something that every county has that can actually be an industrious manufacturing issue.
Yes.
I was in Kilifi and I saw women whose fingers had been burnt because of how they struggled to get the peels off of the cashew. And that's an industry that could thrive. Go to Mombasa, you're looking at coconut, and you're looking at the oil, cashew nut, looking at the oils that the world is running after today. You look at honey from Kitui and Baringo, look at fish that could come out of Turkana. Everybody thinks it's just Kisumu. Pick a county, leave alone this non-creative way of making money by charging people cess to cross from Mombasa Road to Kiambu Road. I mean, for crying out loud. We talk about own source revenue. We talk about manufacturing, building up. Why can't counties be the ones to say, you know what we're going to do? Instead of all this business of shouting at us about recurrent expenditure, why don't you set up a ginnery? Make sure that the farmers in your county are actually planting cotton. Give them the concessions that they need. Get the thing done, have a product then that is going to contribute to the text. I mean, to me, it just makes sense.
So it's a very good conversation, and I wish this kind of conversations would happen in the county assemblies, where the MCAs would raise this concern and say, why don't we have a local industry in our region? Yet we have all these raw materials. Because manufacturing growth definitely can easily happen at the county level. But we look into, or we look for certain minor investment processes or things that would really not spur the economic growth in the country. We definitely need to open our minds and say, guys, whatever we're doing and the direction we're taking, particularly at the county levels, we blame the national government a lot on so many issues, but the rot and the problems and the challenges starts from the county level.
Is this therefore then a time where even in the production of the national budget, would it make sense if the counties as well plugged into that national budget? Because what we see is the national government would go around the cabinet secretary and they would come up with a policy statement, but at the periphery the counties as well are busy preparing theirs that is not in one way complementing the overall budget.
Because if you ask yourself, in the last, since we promulgated the constitution, how much money has gone into the counties?
5 trillion. Almost 5 trillion.
How much money has gone into the counties? What percentage of that money has just been going to salaries? And development is zero, nothing, it's minimal. So I think we need also now to start questioning the county. That money that goes there would have spurred investment. In fact, in my view, is to identify, like other countries are doing. China, if you look at China, if you look at India, we have regions who are very specialized.
Yes.
So you see industries set up in regions. Like, for example, in our country here, we have the blocks, the regional blocks. So you say in lower eastern region, let's invest in leather, for example. Where all counties come together, put one leather pack. Not every county put their own leather pack.
Yeah.
Invest money in one leather pack so that economic effect has an impact on those counties. But here, every county wants to put their own small. We're not going anywhere.
And that is the conversation, because I remember when the LREB, Lake Region Economic Bloc, was set, that was the idea around it, that what we have the lake. Can we have a fish processing a plant where we can and we can export? You know, you go to Mombasa, what do you have? You have the sea. What else do you have? You have crabs. The conversation around what is unique in your county, you know, and through that, every county then would have shares that would determine the returns that you have at the end of the day. But these are not conversations that we are having, and we are not pushing. If we did that, what would you say would be the contribution to the economy over it?
It will be huge. Manufacturing will just par in a twinkle of a few years. It will be huge impact if this county governments through the regional economic bloc sit together and say, let's do one investment and spur the economic bloc within this region. Put all those resources. Even service, for example. There are regions that are good in hospitals. The midriff, Eldoret has a lot of hospitals. Then why don't we just set up one regional hospital in that area? Put all the money. Within the period of 5 years, you will see the impact of that to create other jobs. But specifically for the manufacturing sector, if counties wake up, then definitely employment, everyone will not be running to Nairobi for employment, will be going to those counties to get employment. But we don't have that vision, unfortunately.
Well, we'll keep talking about it until somebody wakes up.
Yes.
It's necessary for us to do. What we've done this morning is look at the morning after of the budget with Tobias Alando, who is the Chief Executive of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. The hope is that somebody grabs the vision, because these deficits, these things that we hear all the time, deficits, gaps, problems, borrow, debt, can actually be solved by looking inward. A very good morning to you, and thank you for being here in this conversation this morning.
Thank you very much.
It continues going. It's 8 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Sheila Tembur. Workers earning less than 30,000 shillings per month will have to wait longer for the promised pay as you earn tax exemption after the measure was left out of the 2026-2027 budget. More than 1 million workers had expected relief following commitments made earlier this year by Treasury CS John Mbadi and President William Ruto. Speaking after presenting the budget, Mbadi said the government remains committed to the proposal but is still analyzing the data before implementation. He maintained that the government has not abandoned the plan and will honor its promise.
I know where you are heading. You are talking about pay as you earn. Yes, even if it is not in the finance bill, it is not off the table. We are going to make sure that the promise by the President and the CS National Treasury will be implemented. So we wait for this.
You presented those papers in April. The President pronounced himself 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and you see, I've explained this, that there was some data and analysis that we were doing. We have now agreed, and the President has pronounced himself unequivocally that is going to be implemented. We have given a commitment. This government is not going to lie to Kenya. We have given that commitment. Wait for the commitment. It is us who said it. No one pushed the government to say it. It is us.
The remarks come 2 weeks after President Ruto said he had directed the Treasury to proceed with a tax exemption despite concerns that it could reduce government revenue by about 40 billion shillings annually. The omission of the proposal from the budget has, however, raised questions over when the tax relief will take effect. The High Court has certified as urgent a contempt case against Attorney General and Health CS Nduh over alleged failure to comply with court orders on Ebola quarantine directives. Justice P.M. Njeri ordered that the matter be heard on a priority basis. Katiba Institute, through lawyer Malidzo Nyawa, says the officials have ignored court orders issued on 28 May and 2nd June, arguing that the alleged non-compliance undermines the authority of the court. The court directed that the application be served immediately with responses to be filed within 24 hours and not later than 15th June. Katiba Institute will file a further affidavit by 16th June when the case will be mentioned for further directions. Unlicensed community oral health officers, dental technologists and optometrists could face fines of up to 5 million shillings or imprisonment for up to 5 years under a proposed law backed by MPs. The Medical Practitioners and Dentists Amendment Bill 2026 seeks to tighten regulation in the health sector by cracking down on unqualified practitioners, fraudulent registration and illegal health facilities. The National Assembly's Health Committee, chaired by Seme MP James Nyikal, has endorsed the bill, saying it will enhance accountability and protect the public from malpractice. Sponsored by Njeri Town MP Duncan Mathenga, the bill also proposes penalties for individuals who use false qualifications, illegally assume professional titles, or assist unqualified persons to obtain registration licenses. Health facility owners who employ and register practitioners as well as operators of unlicensed health institutions could face fines of up to 10 million shillings or 5 years in jail. The bill further criminalizes the detention of patients or bodies over unpaid medical bills, with offenders facing similar penalties. The Health Committee says the proposal will now undergo public participation before returning to Parliament for further debate. And Ambassador Monica Juma has been sworn in as Executive Director of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Vienna. The oath of office was administered during a ceremony presided by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. After taking the oath, Juma pledged to serve with dedication and uphold the highest standards of integrity in advancing the organization's global mission.
I, Monica Athena Juma, solemnly declare and promise to exercise in all loyalty, discretion, and conscience the functions entrusted to me as an international civil servant of the United Nations, to discharge these functions and regulate my conduct with the interest of the United Nations only in view. I also solemnly declare and promise to respect the obligations incumbent upon me as set out in the staff regulations and rules.
Before her appointment, Juma served as National Security Advisor to President William Ruto. She has also held several senior government positions, including CS for Foreign Affairs and Defense. And that's the newswire. I'm Sheila Timur.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Members of Parliament, they go to settle, they just promised they get given tea, mandazi, and 100,000. That's not development.
External borrowing, 589 billion. Are we on the same page? What did Parliament pass?
If anything happened to our president today, God forbid, that man would become president. Na ndio alilenga hizo stories za Shakahola.
The real thing is our constitution has only one person who is accountable to us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official.
Okay.
My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante
We will
sana.
always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can't run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 9 minutes after 8 o'clock and into the third hour of our conversations this morning. And that's one. And you know what? A town hall with the governors, council of governors makes sense because you can do better in terms of how it is that you actually want to raise revenue and get the thing moving. So that we have these conversations is not because we lack something to do on a Friday morning. Is that because, you know, they're actually pertinent issues that need to be brought to the fore and that we can discuss them. And all of this is happening in light of the budget that was read yesterday by CS Treasury John Badi to say this is what's going to happen in the next 1 year, Kenyans, and this is how we are going to do it. We continue our conversation around that. We'll bring in the budget, of course, but we're looking at the week in review. And our youth perspective this week takes on that conversation from the courts to the Treasury to everything that happened in between. Moving this conversation with us this morning is lawyer and founder of the Roundtable magazine, Lena Mati. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And James Mulamba is a governance activist. Also joins us this morning. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Nduh.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Thank you both for being here. It's likely to be an interesting conversation because we're saying we're not just going to lament, we're not just going to complain, but we're going to say, let's have reasonable engagement that takes us to the place whereby it is apparent that we are thinking towards activating those thoughts towards making something actually happen. All right, so as both of you know, we go around the African continent every week. Dennis will tell you where he is. We'd love to get your interpretation of today's proverb.
Today we're in Conakry, capital of?
There's a country. It is called Conakry.
Capital city.
The capital city
is Conakry.
Wow.
The country is? James?
I'm not sure.
For $1 million.
Miss me with that.
There you had the opportunity to be a millionaire like that.
I hope my history teacher was not watching. But
We are in Guinea.
They're always watching.
They're always watching. We're in Guinea. So Guinea is it's a rich country because they have bauxite, which is used to produce aluminium, which turns out to be important metal. You talk about vehicles today. You talk about your phones. But they're also rich in gold, diamond, and petrol, oil as well. But let's go to the proverb. The God says, what belongs to the sheep does not involve me until the butcher shows up. How would you interpret it? Ladies, go first.
Well, interesting. What belongs to the sheep does not involve me until
the butcher shows up.
I think this is that's a very interesting proverb. I think one of the things that I was taught in my Christian faith is that God has given me the will to be able to make decisions. He has given me the capacity. And with that, I need to be able to use that I need to put the same to better use. But now, most of the time is that despite us having the will and the capacity to be able to make decisions, we make decisions that are contrary to what we want. And then once probably things have gone sideways, we now begin to invoke the name of God. We now begin to call on the name of the Lord, not knowing that we are the one that actually invoked the presence of the butcher.
Well, James, you thought you'd escaped it.
Well, could you answer a proverb with another one?
Please. Of course. Yes.
I don't know if it's actually a proverb ama ni msemo wa Kiswahili. Wanasema mwenzako akinyolewa chako kitie maji.
I told you.
He said something like that in the morning.
Yes. So, I think point is there's a lot of pain, enough to go around for everyone. My two-term guys thought they would not get some pinch of this. Tumewafikia sasa. You guys were celebrating that the economy is not working, that sisi watu opposition were complaining a lot, as if we wouldn't get to you in the end. We've gotten to you. This is a bad finance bill. It's a bad budget, and the country is not on the right pedestal. Whether you support William Ruto or not, whether you support his government or not, we are all going to suffer in the same breath and in the same length. You will not escape it. We are all in the guillotine. We are all in the gallows.
Wow. Well, according to you, the butcher is here. So let's start with you, and let's look at the balancing act that the budget is. We'll start with the most recent thing, James, which is the budget, before we then now go back and look at what happened in this week. The winners, we're looking at VAT exemption for large commercial aircraft and aircraft spare parts. So if you want to fly, you're fine. Dialyzers exempt from VAT to lower the cost of renal treatment. So folks who have to deal with that issue will probably pay less. A removal of excise duty on bottled water. So anybody who was drinking bottled water, you're okay. Duty-free importation of inputs for assembly of smart telecommunication devices. So that looks a little bit better. Duty-free importation of raw materials for manufacturers of motorcycle parts. Import declaration fee and railway developmental levy exemption for mobile phones. Now, the folks where it doesn't look too good. VAT on mitumba to be charged at importation. So when it's coming into the country, we say, here, deal with it.
Wait, what? They didn't scrap that?
You wanted them to scrap it? They
said they did.
No, sorry, please. Yesterday it was read very clearly. That they will be surprised. I was in the high. Wow. VAT on mitumba to be charged at importation, no less. There's going to be a 25% excise duty on mobile phones charged at the point of activation. Now, activation, when you put on the phone, then it says, hello. Or when does that happen? 35 or 25% customs duty for importation of finished textile products. 20% withholding tax on winnings from lotteries and prize competition. Patapotea, itapotea. 35% customs duty on importation of select processed agricultural product goods. So we can see that there seems to be heavy reliance here on protectionist policies for the local farmer and or manufacturer. 10% excise duty on imported and locally manufactured plastic articles. Save the environment, folks. So it looks as though the Cabinet Secretary and the good people at Treasury have tried to balance. They've also gone ahead to say that people who are not able to work, the elderly, will put aside 42 billion shillings for that, putting some money into education, putting some money into schools, putting some money into hiring of teachers. You seem to think that this is a bad budget, James. Why?
If we were to go by the resplendent speeches that we've been treated to by John Badi for the last 1 month, you'd think we are on the right direction, but we are not. there is nothing rosy about a 4.8 trillion budget that has a deficit of 1.1. And from where I sit, I think the deficit is probably larger than 1.1 trillion. Last year's budget was supposed to be 3.9 trillion. We ended up spending 4.3 trillion. This year's budget is 4.8 trillion. It appears this government will spend 5.2 trillion by the time we're done with this year, if we go by the 90% of absorption of resources. So if you subtract 5.1 trillion from the amount we've raised so far from KRA, which is 2.7, probably 2.5, the highest. If I was generous and say I would raise 2.7, so if you subtract 5.2 from 2.7, what's the deficit? Is it 2.3? Is it 2 trillion? So we have a double the deficit they are willing to admit. So I would have expected a better budget from an expert who's been in the trenches with us. But it appears when you get into government, you sing the same language, you sing the same tone, and you quickly acclimatize to the language of the Politburo. And you forget the woos and the cries of the ordinary mwananchi. It matters when you're outside government, but it doesn't when you're in government. If there was a CS who would have actually put this government in check and vouched for people's budget, it was John Mbadi. Now that we've lost that opportunity and the ship has left the airspace, I don't know if we're going to get that opportunity anytime soon unless we have a Gen Z as a president. I would have expected Mbadi would have proposed a budget somewhere in the ranges of 4.2 or 4.1 trillion, not expanding it to 4.8 trillion. Remembering that this government has always overshot its expenditure by 400 to 600 billion every year. So we probably have made 3 steps back with this. It's an ambitious budget. And given a 4.8 trillion budget, you would expect that there would be an appreciation in allocation in almost every ministry, department, and sector. But the question should be, can we really live up to this target? Do we really have the resources to finance this budget? Are we really outsourcing our own problems to the domestic market and to the external market to try and plug in the current hole we have in? I do not see fiscal consolidation. I don't see debt restructuring. I do not see the conversation on what they call it, the fiscal austerity measures to try and reduce the expenditure on the side of government and probably reschedule or divert these funds to capital expenditure or to agriculture or to investment portfolio that would guarantee us a return on investment. As it is, I don't see anything wrong about it.
Have we beaten more than we can chew?
You know, personally, I'm I don't know if they call it pragmatist.
Pragmatist.
Yes, I'm very pragmatic. So I look at the practical reality of where we are as a country. And there are things that are, before making any budget, the government has to consider particular things. And these things are, number one, what are the needs of people? What are the needs of the common wananchi like you and me? What are the needs of a corporation? What are the needs of a corporation like Standard Media Group? What are the needs of an investor who would want to invest in Kenya? What are the needs of different stakeholders? That's what I mean. And then they will look at, where are we at? What resources do we have? What can we be able to get? And then based on that, the government will sit down and say that we have looked at the needs, and looking at the needs and what we have, these are the priorities. So this is what we're going to allocate our funds on. This is probably going to put much money in the education sector to be able to make sure that our populace is literate and skilled to be able to, to be able to contribute to the development of our country. We're going to put healthcare into this, and these are going to put infrastructure and all that. That is what goes into the making of a budget. Now, when I look at our country, unfortunately, not just Kenya, but across Africa, our resources are constrained. We do not have big resources like the first world country. So we need to cut our losses when we are in terms of our spending. Our current budget our current revenue that we're looking to get from taxes and appropriation in aid, together with the grants and all that, amounts to 3.6 trillion. In that 3.6 trillion, our recurrent expenditure is 3.5 trillion. Now, you see, if to be honest, if we look at the difference is very minimal. It's almost like 100 billion or so, meaning that based on what we have right now, not with the debt and the borrowing, based on what we have right now, we only have 100 billion probably for our capital expenditure. I don't really blame this government only, in as much as there are things I have reservations with regards to how this government spends money, and not just this government but previous governments. But I'm also looking at what are the steps that have been taken by the current government to be able to cure this, first in terms of debt, development, and also in terms of spending. Because most of our budget goes into recurrent expenditure, there's the vulnerability of wrongful spending money when it's not necessary, wastage and all those kind of things.
Call it budgeted corruption.
Budgeted corruption, yes, there's that vulnerability. But I'm also looking at, in terms of development, what has it been able to do? And I applaud it for one of the things that it has come up, which the president calls the infrastructure development financing, which falls now under the National Infrastructure Fund. Because we have noticed that we cannot be able to build our country based on debt and based on the resources that we have. So what do? Can we look for an alternative way of trying to develop our country?
When you say when you say Kenya cannot develop its country based on the resources that it has, what does that mean?
It's simple, that we don't have the resources to develop our country. Enough resources. Look at what is our capital expenditure for this year. It's 800 billion. 800 billion is our capital expenditure. 800 billion for a country, and looking at the things that we want to do in terms of infrastructure, in terms of improving our energy, in terms of, even giving quality education to our children. This 800 billion is very minimal.
What has been done with the resources that are available to move that needle from this point to the next? Even with the little that is available, what has been done that you can actually see and say, yes, if we had more, then we would be able to do more? What has been done in the development? We're not talking about recurrent expenditure, because that's just it's in and out, right? The developmental aspects of the economy, even in the baby steps that has been achieved with the revenue that is available, that you can point and see, yes, now what we need here to firm up the reasoning behind needing more resources. Just two.
I believe that in the last 3 years that this government has come into being, is that there has been an improvement in infrastructure.
Like?
In terms of our roads, in terms of our infrastructure, also in terms of our, what do I call them? The word is evading me, but there has really been a lot of infrastructure in terms of, number one, roads. Then there has also been infrastructure in terms of even digital infrastructure that has been built by the government to be able to support the creative economy.
Like what? I really want to know, like, this digital infrastructure that we talk about, what is it? What is it that has been put in place to ensure that people who depend on the digital economy to survive then have been able to benefit as a result of inputs that government has made? I want to know what that is, so that we can see it and then say, actually, yes, this makes sense. And if we had more resources to put there, then it would grow. What are those? Because road infrastructure is not a micro indicator of the economy. It isn't. And remember that we said that when we are trying to see how the economy is growing from a people-centered point of view, grand road infrastructure doesn't cut it. What is it that is putting money in the pockets of people? When we talk about debt and we talk about, what's that 700 billion shilling thing called that is owing people money? Pending bills.
Pending bills.
That we know that if you paid pending bills, what you do is that you inject money into the economy directly, because people have money in their pocket, they're able to spend. So my question is simple, because I don't know. I'm asking not from a facetious point of view. I don't know. what is it that has been done to develop a certain aspect where money has been put, and we have said that this has worked. Now, if we had more resources, we could develop it better. So road infrastructure here is mega. It doesn't count. What are those other areas?
Nduh, I think sometimes we misunderstand when it comes to also the role of the government. And this is, I don't say that the government doesn't have its misses. It really has a lot of its misses. But one of the things that we need to also know is the fact that the government, one of the things that the government creates development is through these mega projects. Because, as I've told you, one of the things that the government will do before making any budget will be to look at what are the priorities. Not just the priorities of Nduh alone as an ordinary person, but the priorities of corporations, the priorities of micro businesses like SMEs, the priorities of investors, all those kind of things. We cannot be able to cater for each and every one person alone. True. So what does the government do? The government will come up with major projects or will support a particular sector. Like now, for instance, when you talk about a sector like, let's say, for instance, a sector like education. Education has been given 784 billion. It is the biggest beneficiary of this budget. Now, this budget, almost half of this budget, which is 420 something billion, goes into TSC. TSC is mandated with the management, employment of teachers, staffing, and all those kind of things. Through that, what do? We get more people employed, more teachers employed to be able to work in schools. When you look at hospitals, most of our budget also goes into recurrent expenditure, not even the capital expenditure when it comes to hospitals or the healthcare sector. But we need people to work in those kind of spaces. Through that working, you're able to put money into the pockets of Kenyans. Yes.
Okay.
See,
James wants to say something.
Okay, James.
I may still be a bit confused.
At this point, my ears are ringing. Well, I do not think that extending resources to pay salaries or for administrative costs for that particular reason will contribute meaningfully to the growth of this economy. And that should have been the priority with this budget. It should always be the priority. And if we are going to spend money on recurrent expenditure and administrative costs and dish a few billions on roads and the railway project that has been proposed, I don't think that will cut it for us. I don't think we'll feel the effect. I don't think it will put money into our pockets. I would have expected to see curated expenditure that is supposed to bring a return on investment on every coin that has been pegged on that particular ministry, department, or agency. I would have wanted to see government invest in the creative economy. I would have wanted them to invest in sports and in the young people. I'd have wanted them to offer affordable opportunities for SMEs to access credit, same as that for youths. And I would have wanted them to support manufacturing and industrialization more. I would have wanted them to factor in agriculture as the backbone of our economy, and I did not see that happen. So it appears we'll have another round-the-clock year, and we'll get back to June 2027 with the same situation we have here. We'll still have no money in our pockets, and we'll still be borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, or should I say borrowing from Ruto to pay Rigathi Gachagua.
You see, when you talk about the budget and the deficits that we see today, brother, let's not even talk about the deficit. Let's talk about budgeted corruption that we talk about, because under recurrent expenditure, in that there is corruption, because there's a time when a president stood and said, we lose 2 billion shillings every day. 2 billion shillings in a month, that is 60. In 1 year is 720. 720 billion is pretty much the same amount that is the largest allocation to education. When you do 720 in 4 years, where we are today is 2.88 trillion. These are funds that, if were to be used, if we sealed all the corruption and the wastage that we see today, perhaps we would fill the 2 trillion shillings in the economy today. Can we talk about a 4.8 trillion shillings budget with a deficit of 1.1 trillion, knowing very well that we are losing 720 billion to wastage and corruption? To you both.
I'm looking at page 2 of the Standard newspaper, and pictured here is John Mbadi standing in the middle, flanked by Kimani Kuria with his beautiful afro, and Samuel Atandi with his shining
no afro.
Page 2 with his shining bald head. No offense to bald heads. And I would have wanted this to be a case of Jesus and the 2 thieves who were hanged with him at Golgotha. But it appears we have 3 thieves here and 3 dishonest people. Mbadi, who was accused people before of corruption and who's called people skunks before, to me appears to be the next skunk.
Why do you say that?
Mbadi told us that we should make no effort at trying to fix corruption. In fact, those that have stolen, please do not hide the money in offshore accounts. Please just bring it to Kenya. In a way, licensing corruption and feeding this monster that we've tried to strangle for a very long time. And if this is coming from a minister who sits at cabinet, how do you think that cabinet deliberates on its matters? What do you think number one thinks about the scourge of corruption? Probably he has licensed it too, and it's not a big thing if you're going to invest the money in Kenya. Do we have guarantee you're going to invest the loot you've stolen in Kenya? And shouldn't we be facing a different conversation? I would want us to have a conversation about EACC. Are they understaffed? Are they under-resourced? Do they have the requisite infrastructure? Why is it that they can't fight corruption? Are they too politicized or are they weaponized? If we cannot have a conversation on the anti-corruption body that is supposed to strangle corruption, then we are taking 3 steps backwards. I don't think licensing corruption to tax it makes sense or cuts it for any country. But it appears that is the conversation they want us to have. I would have wanted Mbadi to speak into EACC and say, you guys are under-resourced. You guys get 30 billion, I'm going to give you 70 billion. Please try as much as possible to fight corruption in this country, because it is crowding out finances that would have been put into better use for development expenditure, for capital expenditure, and to spur investment and growth in this country. But we are not having that conversation because probably they've made love with corruption. They have romanticized it. They have romanticized graft to a point where it is normal now. And as long as you steal and invest here, and nobody catches you, then we are fine. And before we have the conversation on EACC, we should know how much money the Asset Recovery Authority has recovered so far. The other day they recovered, was it 250 million shillings from Patrick Analo, the CEO?
65 reporting.
In Patrick Analo's account, it was supposed to be 250 million. I don't know how it went from 250 to 65 million. That's a difference of 190 something. Is it 185 million? Probably. But, well, let's say it was 65 million. They've recovered money from, say, corrupt guys before. So how much money have we raised through the Asset Recovery Authority? And where does that money go? And where do those assets go?
Lena.
Yes.
In a recurrent expenditure that there is, corruption lies in there. We've just established 720 billion shillings in one financial year just gets lost. And that is based off information that was given by a sitting president at the time. No one has objected that. So when we talk about recurrent expenditure and corruption is in there, how is that affecting the return on investment to taxes that Kenyans pay?
Corruption is really the biggest threat to the development of our country. And I actually agree with you that if not for corruption, our development would have really been spurred, almost like we would be 10 years ahead of where we are right now. And corruption is so bad, or it stinks to the extent that even if today an investor would want to invest in a country like Kenya, in a place that is riddled with corruption, it is very hard for them to be able to make that decision of investing. So it automatically chases them away because, number one, they're not guaranteed of a return of investment. They're not even guaranteed of fairness in the market and all those kind of things. But also when it comes to corruption, I blame 3 categories of people. And number one are the state officers, the people that have been mandated with the duty of carrying out different functions by the people. That includes now our leaders. Then secondly, I blame the institutions that are mandated with fighting corruption. And then thirdly, I blame the people. Actually, sometimes I always say, when people talk about a system, what is this system? Because based on my research, I believe that a system is enforced by the people themselves. The same thing with corruption. Corruption is deep-rooted because of the people. I can tell you for a fact that if today we were to go and arrest a particular leader who has stolen money, and the government cracks down on that leader, a group of people from his home area will come short and say, no, you guys are targeting us as a community, all this kind of rhetoric.
But the government should not care about what the people say, but to give justice to the people of Kenya, because the government's role is not to respond to the feelings of individuals who are supporting and perpetrating an injustice.
I agree with you, absolutely agree with you. And I believe strongly that is the ideal world, and it's what we should have, because that's what the Constitution demands. But one of the things that I've always said about our Constitution is that our Constitution is more progressive than us as a people. Our Constitution is ahead of us. So in as much as that may be the thinking, that may not be the thinking of someone down there. And in a country whereby also political realities come into play, it becomes very hard for us to be able to achieve what you've just said. But anyway, let me finish my point. One of the things when it comes especially to the appropriation of the budget and the spending of this budget that we've just had read by the Cabinet Secretary CS John Badi is there are safeguards that have been placed in our Constitution to make sure that the money that is allocated goes into the respective purpose. But we also have lapses that I believe are more occasioned by institutions that are supposed to ensure or to enforce that which has been dictated by the Constitution. Like now, for instance, our Constitution dictates, when it comes to the chapter on public finance from around Article 201 and below, our Constitution dictates that for any money, there is no money that can be withdrawn and even distributed without an act of parliament. Appropriation, a legislation on appropriations. Mm-hmm. That is number one. It further says that there is no money that should be withdrawn without the approval of the controller of budget. That is okay. It goes and says that after the spending, the Auditor General has to come and audit and say and make sure that every money that was withdrawn has gone into the appropriate use. And then from there, if it hasn't, that is now where the institutions come in. And we have seen actually the various committees in the Senate and the National Assembly calling leaders to come and grill them on how that money has been used and how expenditure has been used. But beyond that, do we see any kind of steps that have been taken to ensure that that once someone has been found guilty, that there's a step toward it, that there's a step beyond that? We don't. And that's where I have a problem when it comes to enforcement. Because the necessary institutions, if EACC has been able to carry out investigations, where it has carried out investigations, then the next thing ought to go to prosecution. But do we always see prosecution? We don't always see prosecution. So that's why I say that corruption is the biggest threat to the development of our country. But each and every one of us has to be able to play a role.
So how's the government let down Kenyans because you talk about the ODPP, who is an appointee of the president. That means by virtue of pecking order, the buck stops with the president as an appointing authority of the ODPP. So when we say that we don't see prosecutions happen, should the president as well be called out for not going down on his appointee?
Absolutely. But you see, also, is the fact that as a president, there is separation of powers. And every institution...
How about to go with separation of corruption? How about you guys can steal, but I can't?
Allow me to say that. Okay. Everyone has their role to play. And, sometimes we put everything on the president. And I understand, because at the end of the day, he's the head of the government, and he ought to be able to check, ensure that everyone carries their mandate as they are expected.
Okay.
But you see, ODPP also has his role. I believe strongly that everyone should be able to carry their problem. They need to be able to carry their cross.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's funny that you defend the president, because when ministries, departments, and parastatals are performing, he takes the praise. He takes the credit. He praises the health sector and the universal health coverage, and says the primary health care promoters, caregivers are doing an excellent job. He takes pride in the affordable housing program when it has been well executed and implemented by his juniors. But when there is enough blame to go around, he does not want to take any blame.
I think you guys misunderstood me. I didn't say that the president should be absolved of the blame. But I also believe that everyone should be able to carry the cross, because sometimes we lose out on the particular culprits because we are putting the blame on the government itself.
I hear you.
So okay.
You talk about, I just want to go back, because we can't run away from the budget indicators. And we cannot look at the budget indicators and run away from corruption. You've just said that corruption is the most crippling thing to development in the country. So that means there are enough resources, but that they're being taken, right? Mm-hmm. So Kenya does have enough resources to actually develop. So it's not a resource problem, or is it?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both, because Nduh, we are a third world country. We are still growing.
Okay.
And as a third world country, we cannot really say that we have enough resources to be able to grow. Mm-hmm. And for me, I don't move with the emotions and the wave. I look at the data. Mm-hmm. When I look at the data, and this data hasn't just come from the Ministry of Treasury. This data has been as a result of sectoral groups coming together and giving out their input, giving out their data and all that. Mm-hmm. While there is the aspect of public policy and the data and all that, there's also the aspect of what is happening on the ground.
Right.
And the two of them, most of the time, they don't always match. And there's a problem. There's always a problem there. But when I look at most of what goes into our spending is a recurrent expenditure. I look at the capital expenditure that we have to be able to grow our country, and to be honest, it's not there. It's still very minimal for us to be able to develop our country to the extent that we want to develop our country.
Okay, so let's look at this in this conversation, and I think coming in from both of you, is that when you look at a budget, essentially what you're doing is that you're looking at the indicators with that which will then allow you to spend in the next year, in the fiscal space, in that fiscal period. Now, the reports that you talk about, one of those is the economic survey, the report, the outlook, which, by the way, surprise, surprise, is done by the National Treasury. The Treasury puts together that output, that report. And that is supposed to then be the data and information which you like that forms how you will then indicate spending for the next year. But interestingly enough, what the economic survey that came out in about March or so then gave rise to does not match in the budget, because what it is supposed to do is that it should give you a forecast as to how you will then budget. That didn't happen in this budget from what we are seeing. The same people who came up with the report are the same people who came up with the budget. You would think that they were two different entities, but they're the same. So now my question takes us back a year from the 2025-2026 budget. How do we see that it performed vis-a-vis the situation on the ground, and what hope does that give you for the year 2026-2027? We'll start with you, James.
I don't know if you guys have money in your pockets, because I don't.
I don't have a pocket, right? Please carry on.
They said we should tighten our belts. I know some of us don't have one because we can't afford one. I have not seen any improvement from last year. In fact, if anything, we've gotten worse. And if going by the planning role that Treasury is supposed to have, and by now they have the indicators with them, they should have realized that the economy did not grow as they anticipated in the last 1 year. So they should have recollected and probably posed the question, how do we do this differently? How do we do it better? Because if you continue taxing a shrinking economy, you just strangle it. How then do you ensure the economy grows so that you tax from a point of, say, surplus? We have not achieved that in a long time. If you would ask me where the 2.4 to 2.5 billion shillings that have been earmarked for development expenditure in the last 3 years have gone to, I would not answer that question confidently, because we've annexed 800 plus billion every year for development expenditure. That was from 2022 to 2023. Let's assume they were warming their seats in the first year of government, so they didn't do anything meaningful, but they still budgeted for development expenditure. In the year 2023 to 2024, they still cut out another 800 plus billion for development expenditure. In the last year, there was another 800 billion for development expenditure. That brings it to 2.5. That is the amount of money we raise in a year. So if all the money KRA raises in a year was to be put into development expenditure, aren't we supposed to feel the effect? Aren't we supposed to see it? Ruto should not be telling us how the economy has improved and how his government is doing better. We should feel it. Kibaki did not waste his time with flowery speeches. He did the work, and we all saw the work. And we felt it in our pockets. We don't see that, we don't feel that. And it's getting worse by the moment. Given that we have a tight fiscal space, the government should be recollecting on how to do this differently. I've seen they've made an effort to fund capital projects, roads, transport, the MGR network, meter gauge railway, that is. They are trying to securitize the road development levy so as to acquire funds for the SGR extension from Nairobi to Malaba. They have also budgeted for the bus rapid transport system in Nairobi. And they have extended several contracts for roads in Central. Probably they are trying to net their votes. And they have earmarked 138 billion shillings for the housing department. But then this still begs the question, do Kenyans need more houses or a better, probably, manufacturing industry? Do Kenyans need more houses in rural areas where they already have homes, or they need a revamping of the agricultural sector? Do Kenyans need more roads and more railway network? I'm not trying to water down this expenditure project, but I'm asking, do we need this as compared to our investment in the creative economy and in the digital space? The government is so quick to charge licensing fees to the young people who are in the digital space and to tax their meager earnings. But it is not robustly budgeted for the creative economy and the digital space in Kenya. If you would ask me today, have we budgeted enough for film production and arts in this country? I wouldn't think so. You saw the filmmakers the other day appealing to the president to at least look them with a kinder eye come this budgeting. But they had forgotten that we are almost reading the budget, so you would not factor that in. If we were to look at other sectors that I would have wanted a bigger budget for, include IPOA. IPOA has decried understaffing and resourcing, and they've said this has been part of the reason why they've not discharged their mandate as they are supposed to. And you look at the people of Narok were promised an airstrip. I don't think that was in the budget. The good people of Kilifi have been heaped on several promises when William Ruto was in the coast region at the ceremony for Fikirini Jacobs?
Yes.
And there's a string of other promises that never reflect on the budget. So how exactly is he supposed to do these projects if they are not budgeted for? So looking at this, it's probably another perfunctory exercise just because we need to have a budget every year. Ni ile tu hatuwezi ruka mambo ya budget. So that's just the point. Because the sectors that are supposed to receive that are supposed to feel these allocations are not getting these allocations. So are we cutting the are we really cutting it for these sectors? Ama tunawazungusha tu ikuje tu mwaka ingine just because we need to have a budget. Na kwanza tukienda hapa mbele, we need to rethink the finance bill. As I said it here before, do we need an annual finance bill? Kila mwaka another finance bill. Because this finance bill has made the government lazy. They have not come up with better ways and more creative ways to raise revenue. So they bank on taxes for the bulk of our revenue. What if we said, wait a minute, we can't tax anymore? So this country is supposed to stop. Can't we get money from the minerals? Can't we get money from tourism? Can't we get money from the irrigation schemes?
It's interesting you say that the folks from the manufacturing sector were here earlier on, and it was clear that if Kenya had a manufacturing index, whereby it was clear on how it should actually bring in much needed funds from ensuring that you buffer the manufacturing sector, that this would be a no-brainer in terms of where do you get the money from for those spaces that have obviously the gaps that have been left. What are your thoughts around that, Lena, in terms of what you can actually empower this economy if you put resources in the places whereby you can actually sell for profit?
Thank you, Nduh, and allow me to actually, I think my brother here, who is also my very good friend, is talking from a point of talking from a point of abstractness. And because they're telling us, the government, you cannot feel the impact, you cannot see where the money has. But if you come with the numbers and be able to convince me, then probably you'll be able to convince me. But when I look at one of the sectors that really grew in the year 2025, 2026, the financial year 2025 to 2026 was the manufacturing industry, actually, the industry sector. And it grew from 1.6% to 5%. Meaning that there was improvement in the manufacturing sector as a result of probably the conditions that have been put by the government to enable the sector to grow.
5% of GDP.
The growth
of and it's compared. And when you want to look at growth, you're comparing it to GDP, right? I'm asking.
Come again.
When you talk about growth, when you look at how a country has grown from one place to the next, there are certain factors that come into place. So when you look at GDP, you're saying that growth, that if it was 1.3% the year before, it's gone to 5%. This is against when you're looking at a big number of GDP.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes. So it means that there was improvement in terms of infrastructure and also improvement in terms of the production cost, which attracted the investors to come and invest, and also the manufacturers within that particular sector to be able to put money into it. When we look at areas like agriculture, it also grew by 3.7%. When I look at things like when I look at also areas like what we call the current account deficit, there was a reduction when it comes to the last 5 years. In 2019, the current account deficit stood at 2% of the GDP. Sorry, it stood at 5% of the GDP. But now it's come down to 2% of the GDP, meaning that the imports that we do minus the exports that we do, the deficit has reduced. So when you come and tell me that the government has not done anything, I expect you to come out with the numbers.
How do Kenyans feel that effect? I think that's the question. How do Kenyans feel that? Those three that you've given, how do Kenyans feel it?
Let me help.
No, let me finish first. Let me finish. So, you see, Nduh, our economy, most of the sectors whereby the investment, most of our budgetary allocation goes into, they're extractive sectors. And a sector like education, a sector like healthcare, a sector like housing, those sectors are extractive. They don't bring profit per se. When you invest in education, you're not expecting to bring profit from education.
So it's not an investment.
It's not an investment.
Exactly.
You're not getting profit from that investment that you're putting in, because education is not a place whereby we are trading. Education, you're putting money into education to be able to grow the skills of the people. So you cannot directly get benefit from it. So what happens? We now go into what we call the multiplier effect. The multiplier effect may not be, you don't feel the growth directly, you feel the growth indirectly. So at the end of it, based on education, if money has been invested into education, we're asking how many people have been employed. As a result, how many children have also been able to go to school? As a result of going to school, how many children have been able to get jobs? You see, that's what I mean. But if you've invested in healthcare sector, you're asking ourselves, how many doctors have been able to get jobs? As a result, how many families have been fed as a result of those doctors getting jobs? As a result, how many people have been able to take their children to school as a result of those jobs from healthcare sector?
That doesn't show you from year to year. The indicators that we're talking about, these ones that you've given examples, do not appear from year to year. You will not be able to ask me to tell you how many children who went to primary 7 to 8 got jobs when we're talking about a comparison of 2024, which was my original question, of the 2025-2026 budget to the 2026-27 budget. This is the question that I'm asking, but we're running out of time. And the question that Kenyans are asking today is that the stopgap measures that you have taken over the last financial year, how has it improved the situation in their pockets? These are the things that you talk about, unfortunately, are long-term things and benefits that you will see for a child who is in grade 3 today. You will not see the benefit of the investment of education until they finish tertiary education, for example. So the question was, in this term, because the budget is year to year, how are we seeing the effect in the pockets of Kenyans? Maybe we can take that.
Incontrovertibly, the cost of living in Kenya has been on a rise. It is arguable that, as it is, we've not felt any relief. Mbadi had promised us a tax relief for those of us who might be earning 30,000 and below. I have not seen that. If it is in the budget or in the finance bill, please point it to me. So that is being tone deaf. So from where I sit, we've not felt an improvement in the economy. And as a budding economist, I'm departing from the numbers here because I've realized some of them don't even make sense. You don't tell us that the GDP has grown by 5% and we cannot see that. You don't tell us that inflation has come down, and for reality, we see that inflation has gone up. Because judging by, let's say you are a layman economist who does not really understand economics a lot, but you would understand that inflation is the value for money. As our value for money improved or depreciated, how many products, or how much could 1,000 feel, say if you have a basket at Naivas, last year, but one as compared to this year? That is inflation 101. If the value of 1,000 shillings has depreciated, if your currency is losing value, or if it's not able to keep up with the cost of living, then that tells you that we are in an inflation and that it's rising. It's not coming down. If I was to fill a basket of goods with 1,000 shillings at Naivas 2 years ago, and I cannot do the same today, I have to choose between unga and rice, I have to choose between sugar and salt, then that tells you that inflation is going up. So if Treasury tells you that from their crunch of numbers, inflation is going down, would you as a layman acquiesce to such perfunctory statements? Because we've been treated to beautiful numbers and statistics that do not even make sense. And as a budding economist, I will repeat, the numbers from Treasury seem cooked. And I will say that with confidence. You cannot tell us that our GDP is growing, but we cannot see it. You cannot tell us that inflation is coming down and our cost of living is rising. So I just depart from using those figures, not because I don't have them, but because they appear fabricated. So I would want to stick to the reality I feel as a common citizen who is saying that the economy is not doing any better. We are not on the right trajectory, and perhaps we need to engage a reverse gear and get things right, so that every citizen feels that this economy is working for all of us. The cost of fuel has gone up. the cost of almost every other good and product in Kenya has gone up, courtesy of the taxes we have. Say sometimes you could also blame global wars, but this government and Ruto himself told us that we should not blame external factors and forces for our own woes. I don't know why he finds it convenient now to blame it on the Ukraine, Russia war, Israel, and Iran war. But anyway, if we were to go that route, point is the cost of living is still climbing, and we need to probably the government needs to come down from that sycamore tree. Zakayo needs to come down.
Your final words coming in a few seconds, actually, Lena.
Well, I believe that we all have the responsibility of rebuilding our country, and it doesn't just lie with the government, but also it lies with us. Every decision that has been made by the government is a decision that I believe, from what we call representative democracy, is what the people have made. So if people are complaining that we are not seeing changes within the government, then come 2027, I believe we have the responsibility of electing better leaders than we do. Because the budget, essentially, the Ministry of Treasury comes with it, and then the Parliament comes and approves and says that, these amendments need to be put here and there. And the parliamentarians are the representatives of the people, and they carry out what we call, as much as they may not be public participation by everyone, but they're the ones that represent the views of the citizens. Thank you.
Asante sana. Well, this is what it looks like. The sentiments are real as they come. Lena Mati is a lawyer and founder of the Roundtable magazine. James Mulamba, government activist. Thank you for joining us this morning. It still will remain a conversation. We definitely will continue with those. Asante sana. Thank you very much. It's 9:03. Good morning.
No.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Tembur. A memorial service will be held today for 15 of the 16 girls who died in the Utumishi Academy school fire. The Requiem Mass will be held at Gilgil Stadium, bringing together hundreds of mourners, government officials, religious leaders, and members of the public. 15 hearses were lined up at Naivasha Funeral Home to transport the bodies for the service before they are handed over to families for burial. The mood remains somber as families and the school community continue to grapple with the loss. One of the victims was buried on Sunday in Kwale County after her body was released earlier to the family. The tragedy has renewed calls for stricter enforcement of fire safety measures in schools to prevent similar incidents. IPOA Commissioner Mika Onyego has urged political leaders to stop early campaigning and focus on development and national unity. Speaking in Nyamira County, Onyego has also called on Kenyans to maintain peace and coexistence as the country prepares for next year's general election. He further appealed to parents to guide their children and help prevent them from engaging in risky or unlawful behavior.
Tusifanye masisi eti wewe unakuja eti ni mimi nataka kiti ya kura. Ni leo iko kura iko kombari. Tuachane hiyo tabia. Mwisho vile tunalekea, mimi nawaomba watu wetu wote tushirikiane, tuwe pamoja, tupendane, tuache mambo ya chuki, ndio tutaweza kuendeleza nchi yetu. Pili, tuongelesha watoto yetu pia. Mnaona mambo yanaendelea ya mambo ya mashule.
A case involving the exhumation of an 80-year-old man in Kakimani village, Buya West constituency, has taken a U-turn. This follows a court order issued by the Kimilili Magistrates Court directing that the body, which had been buried a month ago, be exhumed. The family of the first wife has now moved to court challenging the decision, arguing they were denied a fair hearing and not given an opportunity to present their views before the ruling was made.
Hatujasikizwa hata mahakamani, walitushtaki na wakatuandikia kesi na wakaleta court orders after we had buried our dad. Swali la kwanza sisi tunauliza koti, tulienda yes, kuna ruling, kuna mentioning, kuna hearing. Sisi tuko tuna mention and ruling. Tunauliza haki yetu iko wapi? Sisi ni mayatima. Tunauliza haki yetu iko wapi? Hatujasikizwa. Siku inaruliwa tu mnapata tu mwili inachukuliwa.
Lakini kusema ukweli, tangu kesi iende kotini, hatujapata freedom of expression, hatujajieleza mahali. Tumeitwa wame-mention, no hearing, tumepata tu judgment ya kwamba ni hivi na hivi na hivi na imeshatendeka.
Community elders have also criticized the exhumation, saying it was carried out in broad daylight and went against Bukusu cultural practices. They're now calling for respect of tradition in the enforcement of court orders.
Kilikuwa kitendo cha kuhuzunisha na kitendo cha aibu. Kwenda kufufua mwili katika kimila ya Bukusu ama tuseme hata Waluya kinafanyikanga katika kiziri na tena usiku. Sio kitu mtu anaenda anafufua mwili mchana na tena anatumia mtoto wake, huyo mama ambaye ni mke mdogo katika hii familia ya Masolo.
Meanwhile, the second wife's family maintains that the deceased left a will indicating his preferred burial site, but say it was ignored by the first wife's side. They claim this dispute led them to seek court intervention to have the body exhumed and preserved pending resolution of the matter. And community-level disaster response committees in Gassen constituency, Tana River County, are undergoing training to strengthen their capacity to respond to emergencies and reduce the impact of disasters, particularly during the ongoing floods. The 4-day training taking place in Minjula town in Tana Delta constituency aims to enhance preparedness and improve community response mechanism.
We have a number of modules that were watapitisha through. The first one is at least we understand what disasters are, which disasters we face in the county, knowing how to manage camps, the issues of health, issues of war, how to respond to fires, fires hata kama ni kile kidogo at the household level. So this training is very, very essential because inasaidia kuhakikisha kwamba katika jamii zetu at the smallest level, at the community level, wale wananchi wako na uwezo wa kujisaidia before msaada wote ufike.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who were initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell you, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't, let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You have land, Dennis. Yeah. Okay, your own land. You use your own money to build it, and then you sell it to yourself. But we don't want foreign troops on Kenyan soil.
But surely it goes a little bit deeper. This is it.
If you find the tree is withering, then you call the person who is managing that tree. Come around.
Yeah,
Why don't tell me what is
first of all, what's the problem?
Yes, what is the problem there?
How do we expect ourselves to move forward as a country?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock, and a very good morning to you as we continue our conversations, getting into the final hour of the final day of these conversations this week. And we have come up from a couple of weeks whereby there seems to be a little bit of silence. It seems to be that the noise may have stopped, but the questions are, is there an uncomfortable ease when it comes to the situation in schools? That are we dealing with a situation whereby things have gone quiet because there has been a word from government? But what are the issues that we still have to deal with when it comes to school unrest? And that we saw in the last couple of days that the ministry did come out and pronounce itself in various things, that schools are not going to close. We are not looking at early midterm, but what we are looking at is a commission whereby we can make sure that the various stakeholders will come into play to ensure that certain things need to happen. And we're going to make sure that we are very serious about how we deal with this. They've also come out to say that in the second term, whereby the period is very long, that what we're going to see is that we'll probably see a shortened period, that maybe we will see term 2 will not be so long, and that some of these issues will be addressed through the commission. Those are some of the things that came out in the conversation, where CS Ogamba came out and said, okay, we understand, but schools will not close. Those issues will be addressed because we'll have a commission and we'll deal with some of these things. Now, school unrest, there is an issue. Those issues are not being addressed, but maybe this commission will address them. But there seems to be a way in which you can address these issues without just glossing over them. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. That can we handle or manage school unrest through the role of peer mediation? And joining us in studio this morning is James Mangangere, who's an advocate of the High Court and joins us in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to see you.
Yes.
We're going to get into this thing because we even saw a video the other day of a parent who heard that his child was one of those who was purporting to bring drama and decided to whip her in the full glare of daylight and everybody watching. And perhaps we say that's not the way to go about it. But I'm sure we're going to go into some of these things. But for what you're saying, mediation has a role to play here. So let's talk about that. Before we get into that conversation, Dennis is going to share today's proverb. We'd love to get your interpretation of it.
Thank you.
Yes, today we are in Guinea. One thing that stands out in Guinea is that it's a rich country that has many resources. You talk about gold, diamond, bauxite as well, that is used in the production of aluminium. Let's go to the proverb. The God says, what belongs to the sheep does not involve me until the butcherman shows up.
What belongs to the sheep doesn't involve me, okay?
Until the butcherman shows up. How would you interpret it?
Yeah, that's a very challenging one. But what I can say is that you only identify that the sheep belongs to you, and you will need to probably gain out of it when the butcherman shows up with a knife, because once it becomes meat, either it's going to be eaten by other people or it's going to be sold and somebody needs something out of it. So I think it goes around the issue of ownership. Yeah, you only discover that it's yours when it's almost becoming something that is useful. Yeah, that's how I can interpret it. Yeah.
All right. Would I be wrong in saying that when we look at the school unrest, that you seem to think that one of the ways to handle this is by having a conversation?
Well, I just want to say this did not start yesterday. What you are seeing did not start yesterday. In 1991, we had the St. Kisito school, secondary school in Meru, where students died out of what the mess we are seeing right now. After that, there was Bombolulu girls. And all these times when these events have happened, the government has constituted commissions of inquiry.
Yes.
They have written reports, and either the reports have been shelved and we have moved on until another event takes place. You know, they always say that doing the same thing and expecting different results is what they call insanity. I think it's right time now Kenyans sit down and look at it. The peer mediation I'm talking about is the way of educating our young people to know how to resolve disputes when they are very young. Educating them to be emotionally mature, to be calm in situations where the disputes arise, to have techniques of resolving disputes, first of all, between themselves before the teachers come in to intervene. Last week, I attended a conference in Boston, in Massachusetts, for mediators all over the world. And this issue about what's happening in our country was being discussed in the forums. So I tried to ask the mediators, these people who have been practicing from different countries, what have they done in those countries? And the first question they asked me is, in your country, do your schools have a peer mediation program? And I told them we introduced something like that 5 years ago. We have trained a number of mediators, but it appears the government has not embraced this idea of peer mediation. Why? Probably they believe there are other ways of resolving disputes, because what I'm seeing right now in our country is everybody blaming everybody. People are pointing fingers to the parents. Others are pointing fingers to the government. Others are pointing fingers to the students themselves. And this blame game is not solving a dispute that has been ongoing for the last, from 1991, I think it's almost 20 years, with several incidents of this type. So what I was told, and what I've always been saying, is that our children need to be trained on conflict competency from the early stages of life. Because countries that have adopted peer mediation have realized that a lot of calm in their school environments. Students become emotionally mature and they deal with conflicts in a way that serves the interest of everybody. They develop what we call empathy and understanding and patience, something that we do not have, something that our parents do not teach our children at home. So I just want to state that what brings me over is to tell them what I've been saying all along, that the best way to deal with conflict in our schools is impressing the peer mediation programs.
Yet we find ourselves at a position where there is the aspect of feeling that students are there to be seen, not to be heard.
Yes.
Where students are being read down or being talked at and not being talked to, because it is directions that come from one side and there is no outlet. Students don't know who to talk to because that is the society, rather the system that has been there for a very long time. Are you therefore stating that for that to change, the system, even policy, has to change and intentionally put in place an opportunity for feedback mechanism to be present?
Students are human beings like anybody else. They need to be heard, valued, and respected. We have created an environment where the students' opinion may not take into account. And you see, human beings usually, when they're treated in a way that they don't feel valued, they don't feel understood, definitely what you are seeing right now is people who have developed impatience. They are emotionally disturbed. This process of peer mediation I'm talking about is a process that helps students develop empathy. First of all, is something that's very important. Empathy is understanding other people's feelings, being calm in instances of pressure, and knowing how to approach conflicts constructively. Something that's missing in our students. They don't get it at home because parents are pissy. Parents leave home very early in the morning at 6 o'clock to get back to work. They also go through a lot of pressure. They come back at 9:30 in the evening after going through all this traffic jam. And the only thing probably they do is they are trying to make a lot of money, as much money as possible, to ensure that their children are comfortable. But children do not only need money. They need presence. Because this is the only way we can develop them emotionally. What you are seeing right now are children who are not resilient, children who are not patient, children who are not calm, because they have not experienced that from the environments they have from home. So I can tell you how powerful peer mediation is. Peer mediation, students start learning very early. First of all, on how they can solve disputes and conflicts between themselves. Not only solving, but managing. There's a big difference between solving and managing. If students are able to manage their conflicts, because there is what we call intra-personal conflict and interpersonal conflict. Intrapersonal conflict are those conflicts within the students themselves. And that's why I'm talking about emotional literacy. How they can manage themselves emotionally, and interpersonal conflict is how they can solve conflict between themselves and other students. You know, teachers are taking much time these days trying to solve conflicts between students. If students are trained to solve conflict themselves, not only will they feel responsible citizens, they'll feel honored, they'll feel accepted, they'll feel valued. And these skills of leadership are what the society is looking for. So when I talk about peer mediation, I'm talking about empowering these students very early in life to know how to deal with conflict. Look, even at our courts right now, courts are resolving disputes in a restorative way. They are embracing mediation. So this peer mediation is something that needs to be inculcated very early in the life of our students. In fact, I always tell people, if we do not put these things in place, then this situation is going to become worse than we are seeing right now. I think it's right time for the Kenyans to stop now. Let's look for a different way, an alternative way of dealing with conflict, rather than coming up with ways of dealing with the indiscipline that we have in school. Why don't we empower our own students to have the resilience, to have the skills, to have the competency, to be able to resolve those conflicts within themselves and their colleagues within the school compound. If we can be able to manage that, all these commission of inquiries we are picking, policies we are writing, can only be pieces of paper if we don't action already what we have. Like now, this program of peer mediation. Do we have the capacity to deliver it? Of course, yes. You know, the last 5 years, we have been working on training peer mediation tutors. The only thing we do not have in this country is a policy that impresses these peer mediation programs in our schools. The Ministry of Education has not taken this very seriously. We are chasing a problem to a different direction instead of facing what is here and dealing with it instantly. We have a solution with us.
Okay.
Why don't we adopt it?
I hear you say because what you're talking about is that training amongst peers so that they can understand how to deal with a conflict situation.
Yes.
But if you look at the issues that are affecting students in school today, and unfortunately this largely falls within the boarding schools, that doesn't take away day schools from this, but largely if we look at the school unrest right now, that's the majority of where the problem lies. It's against the backdrop of a system where children are to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
So I can be empowered as you like.
Yes.
And I can know how to deal with conflict situations. But when I go and who am I telling that I have this particular problem, and who is listening to me in a system that already seems like it has been fixed to not take into consideration what a student has to say? How do you work within those lines?
Teachers themselves, in our teacher training programs, we should also incorporate conflict resolution skills. Most of the teachers who are leaving teacher schools, I'm sure what they are being taught about is counseling. There's a very big difference between counseling and mediation, because counseling is listening to the parties and assisting them to manage their own emotions. Mediation, on the other hand, goes a step further. It teaches you on how to approach and resolve conflict. So what teachers are being told usually in their teachers training programs is how to do peer counseling. What we are saying, there is a better way. In fact, the government should inculcate change the syllabus of the training of teachers to include techniques on how to manage conflict. Because what I've seen in most schools, teachers themselves have a challenge in as far as approaching and resolving conflicts are, because we are thinking in our country, we are thinking that the only best way of solving disputes is retribution, punishment. Okay? And we can give punishment in different ways, not only corporal punishment, different ways, but punishment is not the only way of resolving or assisting to resolve conflicts, especially in our schools. We should also be in a position to embrace restorative systems of resolving disputes, whereby we reconcile the interests of students or student teachers who have conflict within the school environment. Retribution, even the courts are moving away from retribution anyway. You see, the courts are embracing court annexed mediation. They are encouraging private mediation. Why are we doing this? If we are doing this, if we are embracing restorative justice within the court system, why don't we also encourage restorative justice within our schools?
You know, you talk about something that one would say the tone that is set at the top determines how that then trickles down. Exactly. Because what we've just been treated to recently is even the response from the principal secretary at the time was that of what you're talking about, punishment and retribution. For those who have done this, we will arrest you, you know, anything about schools, we will not close schools. And that is the tone that is cascaded down all the way. And students say, if the principal doesn't hear us, then where do we run to? But then again, you mentioned the fact that there is need for change of policy as well. But again, why is it so difficult for that to be picked if it is a clear and surest way of handling these problems that we find today? What is making it difficult for the ministry to pick that policy and put it as part and parcel of its mandate, pretty much?
You know, in our community, we are slow to change. Most people do not want to embrace change, especially when it's brought about by people, experts who are not, in inverted commas, politically correct. I would be in your station today trying to tell them something very important, but it also depends on my status in society. I'm an expert in this field. I have consulted enough. As I have just told you, I met a number of experts in Boston, Massachusetts last week, and I have talked about this issue about unrest in schools. And every person I interviewed, I was at Harvard University and Suffolk University and others, every expert that I talked to asked me, does your country embrace peer mediation? Because if you go to Britain, you go to America, you even go to Brazil in Latin America, most schools have embraced peer mediation because they believe that to be able to build a society of citizens who are responsible, who are conflict competent, who are resilient, this education about knowing how to resolve conflicts early in life is a serious policy issue within any education system. So I believe that if the Minister of Education is listening right now and all the other stakeholders, it's high time that we embraced peer mediation in our schools. Do we have the expertise to assist them to do so? Of course, yes. Like now in MTI East Africa, we have been running a program for 5 years, training peer mediation tutors. We have a program, we have a syllabus. So it is important that as a country, it's now the right time to stop and look at it again. It's now the right time to embrace peer mediation. And we have enough expertise within the country to put these systems in place. And even people from outside are willing to help us if we want to help ourselves. But if we continue picking commissions of inquiry, coming up with reports and shelving them until another incident happens, I'll be coming to your studio again 10 years from now, and we'll be talking about the same thing. So we need to stop now and embrace this system. We are ready to roll out peer mediation to our schools, and that time is now. Not 10 years from now when 100 students have died through this unrest that we are seeing right now.
Who would they be talking to? Understanding the students can bring their issues to whom? Remember that we operate within systems.
Of course.
Who are they talking to?
When we establish a program of peer mediation in school, there are a number of things that we do. First of all, you don't go directly to the school. You either talk to the board of governors, the school management. From there, you train the teachers. Like there's a number of schools where we have trained teachers to be peer mediation coordinators. After that, we consult the parents who allow their children to be trained as peer mediators. You cannot train everybody within school, just a few students as peer mediators, who will then be identified. They will graduate and be identified to other students, that when students have issues, when there are problems within themselves, they can then bring it to the peer mediation mediators through a peer mediation coordinator who is a teacher. So there is an elaborate program that can be put in school. What it requires is the support of the government. And I'm talking about the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. We need this Ministry of Education to embrace it as a policy. We have tried it in private schools, and it's working very well in some private schools. But that's just a drop in the ocean. It's now important that the Ministry of Education takes it as a policy issue, so that we can embrace it. We can put a pilot program within our country, even for 2 years, and try to pick a few schools and put it as a pilot program. The results from that will show the ministry that this process really works. Not only does it help students become good leaders, they can transfer these skills outside the school gates to their own families. And there is no parent who will not like to see their students having these skills, being a good leader, and being able to resolve conflicts even outside the school compound once they are through with school. So it's a value adding for the students that we have, not only for the purpose of resolving the kind of unrest that we have, but it also adds the value to the students we have all the way to university and the citizens' life outside here.
Where do parents fit in this conversation? Because for a very long time, it's been seen as if parents, I've sent my child to school, hiyo ni kazi ya mwalimu, but in this conversation you said, we will go to schools and speak with the BOMs, who then one would say is a representative of parents, right? But for every individual parent out there, how do they fit into this so that even at their homes, they encourage peer mediation among their children? Because one would say, if it's from that basic level, then extrapolating the same would be easy.
You see, I just want to take you back and ask you how a parent feels. You just told me a few minutes ago that a parent went to school and identified one of his daughters as being part of the people who are planning to pan up the school. And they had to pick them up. Parents are really disappointed when they find that one of their daughters or sons was involved in arson and other students have died. That thing really haunts the parents and they feel helpless. So I'm thinking we have a way of ensuring that we can empower our students to be able, first of all, to be calm, resilient, under pressure, and also be conflict competent. Not only will it save our parents from the kind of situation that they find themselves in, it will empower their own children not to be involved in these heinous acts, because the lives of those children are permanently affected. The lives of the parents are permanently affected, because when you send your son or daughter to school, what you are expecting is to see a person who is success. You are looking for success. There's nobody who is more interested in the success of their children than their parents. So you have paid school fees, you have bought all the books, and you believe that your child will graduate from school and become an important person in society. You only receive a call one morning and will be told that your son or your daughter was involved in arson and other students have died. That is heartbreaking for the parents. To avoid a situation like that, I think the people who should support peer mediation are the parents. Even if they are told to pay some money to ensure that their children are trained to become peer mediators. This is a skill that the children can carry home after school. This is a skill that can make their children more confident, more resilient, more calm, have empathy, and grow into responsible citizens in the future. So it's important that parents themselves embrace this and support the Ministry of Education and the teachers, even private schools, to ensure that we put these systems in place. And that time is now, not 10 years from now when we have 200 students dead.
Some questions may come in because it would seem as though a similar thread of these issues runs from institution to institution. And we've heard them. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, we've heard them over and over again. The quality of food, the quantity of food, the method of discipline, not enough books in school for them to be able to do their job, overcrowding in some of these spaces. These are the things that these students are complaining about. That means they operate in a system that has already established a certain way of doing things. Now, Bwana Mangarere, I can come to you and say it in the politest way possible. I can come to you and I can complain as somebody who was brought up very well. But if the system has already been set in a certain way, I would imagine that there's very little I will say, no matter how rude or how politely I say it or bring it up, because these are some of the things that peer mediation does train on.
Yes.
But those are the things that I have issues with. How do you turn those things around if the system is not willing to change them or hasn't changed them in years? And mind you, these issues that we talk about occur in the second term. In the second term. It's interesting because I said I'm actually going to go and check and see, did we see fires coming up in first or third term? And we didn't.
From what I know and what I have seen, even read in your newspapers, it usually occurs when students are almost starting to do their exams and they are under pressure. So we are not saying that peer mediation will eliminate the overstretching of students in the institutions or improve the infrastructure in schools or improve the kind of foods that they eat. Those are challenges that most schools are facing. But what I'm saying is this. Even when students complain, the way they deliver their message, when they are trained, it will not occur in such a way that it can cause turmoil in schools. In fact, when we train students, not only students, because we also train teachers who handle those students, then they find better ways of resolving this, because then they are able to understand other people's feelings. You know, let me tell you one thing about conflict. Conflict sometimes is about perception. If I draw a W in front of me here, it's a problem. And I ask you what type of letter I've drawn. Without thinking, you will tell me it's an M. And if I ask your friend on the other side, he will tell me it's a 3. If there was somebody on this side, he will say it is an E. None of us is stupid or crazy. We are all right from our own perspective. We have put a lot of pressure in our schools because we do not have enough infrastructure. Sometimes the food is bad because that's what the school can afford, according to the fees that is available. But this is a problem that we know exists. What do? Do we send our children home? Do we ban the school? Is that the best solution to resolve the dispute? The issue is that our children will be taught to be calm under pressure, because we know those pressures exist, to be resilient. And you see, as teachers try to find better ways of managing a very difficult situation, you'll find that students who have already been trained in peer mediation can be on board to work together to find solutions together with the teachers. Those ones that are available. You make a bad situation better by working with the students in a collaborative way. What we are missing is collaboration, because even in conflict, we know what she's saying is very clear. Schools are undergoing very difficult times because they do not have enough money. They don't have adequate infrastructure. The food may not be what the children are eating at home. That's a problem that we know. But how do we approach that conflict in a collaborative way that may not result into what we are seeing right now? Okay. Because the answer is not panning up schools or pitting up teachers or closing schools. The answer is trying to look at conflict from different perspectives and trying to resolve it in a collaborative way. And the only way we can solve those conflicts in a collaborative way is having both parties being conflict competent, both the students and the teachers. So if we are training students, teachers equally require some kind of training on how to approach conflict, because you may have very resilient students and very highly conflict incompetent teachers. That mathematics will not match. So both parties require some kind of training so that we can be able to handle conflicts which exist, which you cannot wish away, in a collaborative manner.
Yeah,
that's the purpose of empowering our students to that effect.
You've mentioned that you trained a few schools, some private schools in the country.
Yes.
And in that training, maybe you can just tell us, what did you find was pressing from all stakeholders, so parents, teachers, and even the students themselves? And after going through the training, what are some of the successes, perhaps, that everybody needs to know or we can learn?
Yeah. Once students have gone through training, first of all, they have what we call emotional literacy. They handle matters more maturely. They are resilient when they are working under pressure, because that's what usually happens.
But what is the initial problem that students raise as being a concern?
The initial problem is that, first of all, the teachers do not listen to them. They are ignored. They are not valued. They don't find that their proposals or their opinions are valued, because they are regarded as students who should listen and learn. So when sometimes they complain, they do not get an environment where their complaints are listened to, number one. Number two, they feel that they are being put under a lot of pressure, especially when exams are coming close. Teachers are drilling them for the purpose of passing exam. And, our children are not as resilient as us. We grew in very tough environments. This is another generation which we must also understand. They can't go through a lot of pressure. But let me also tell you, they have to pass exam, exactly, that's what we want. But at the same time, the way we treat them. When you value somebody, it also even works at the workplace. When your employees are valued, when they are treated well, they may not even think about salary increment. Employees you see agitating for salary increment or agitating for good conditions of service is when they think they are being oppressed and they are being misused by the employer. And the same thing applies to our students. If students can feel valued, they can feel accepted and respected, even in very difficult conditions, our students will collaborate with teachers in resolving the existing problems. But when they are ignored, when they are devalued, when they are treated as small people who do not have an opinion, definitely they are going to become, they are going to resist. And the kind of resistance, it can be subtle resistance or even physical resistance. And students have resorted to physical resistance by banning schools. So it's good that we now calm down and look at these things differently. That's what brings me to your studio, and I hope people are listening. I have done research. I've gone through other countries where these programs are being implemented. They are working very well. And now, at least, it's a matter of building capacity and getting collaboration with from the Ministry of Education, getting funding from donors, and we put this thing down into practice. And the time is now.
In those schools that you've taken the message, right? Now that it's been received and is being implemented.
Yes.
What are some of the changes that one would say are like the immediate wins that those schools have managed to tell you that this is the change that we see of the training that you brought?
The playgrounds are calmer. Classes are calm. You can see the peace we use within the dormitory. There are fewer expulsions, fewer suspensions. Teachers get more time to concentrate on teaching than resolving petty issues within the students, because students are capable of doing it on their own. The advantages are so many, only that we have not sensitized the public to see that. So those schools that have embraced peer mediation, even the performance is better, because students are confident, they are able to concentrate, because they have lesser problems and they are able to withstand pressure most of the time. Because of the training.
And so you can actually see that it's not just teaching students on this peer education to realize how you can actually solve conflicts better, but that on the other side as well, that those who administer the process, those who are vanguards, saying that, we are the ones who are the stakeholders here caring for these children, that we also need to understand where they're coming from.
We train them too. So it's not only limited to students. When we are putting a program in school, we train the teachers. Sometimes we sensitize the board of governors and the parents also. Parents need to understand the importance of this. So we have a seminar with the parents before we bring this process in place. So it's a multi-stakeholder thing. Once this thing has been accepted and impressed, and you have sensitized all the parties enough, it flows.
Is there enough time? Because they say that it takes twice the amount of time to unlearn something that has been learned. Maybe even 3 times, but at least we've read that it's twice. So if you've been doing something for 10, 20 years, that it's going to take you double that time to unlearn these behaviors which have been compacted, which have been in you. That there's some schools at this point where a student will come to you and actually tell you, I'm not feeling well today. The default answer is endo fanya kazi utaki kusoma. Do you see? That's the default answer. Somebody comes to you and says, actually, I have an emergency. The default thinking is that this student is lying. How do you unlearn some of those things without us realizing also that those responses that come to students, they don't sit well with the student, and that's what leads to them saying, you know what, these people don't listen to me anyway, so here's a situation whereby I'm going to choma the thing.
No, in neuroscience, which is the science of how human beings think, we are told that if you repeat something continuously for 21 days,
It becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit.
Mhm.
So the first thing that the teachers and the school community need to learn is to embrace this issue to do with peer mediation. I know they are used to, change. To be emotionally intelligent, you must also be ready to embrace change in any environment. And what options do we have? Do we just allow this situation to continue? Students dying, destroying property. Now we have reached a point where this doesn't help. We have tried. And as I told you, I just wanted to tell you a few statistics which Kenyans know very well. In 1991, that's when we had our first incident at St. Kizito. 1998, Bombolulu. 1999, Njeri High School. 2001, Changuli, where 67 students died. 2017, Moi Girls. 2024, Ndarasha, Hillside, Ndarasha. 2026, Utumishi. A total of almost 200 students have died.
And
Are those deaths not enough to now tell people that we have to have things changed?
And of course, there are multiple other incidents where people may not have died,
Yes, exactly.
but that property was destroyed. But
exactly.
I mean, there are at least 50 other schools that have gone through damage through fire because of these same things.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying it's high time now we sit down a little. Even in your own household, if you see something is not working, I think you step aside a little and look at it differently. Right now, I know you have said there's those teachers who believe that the corporal punishment is the only way that works in schools. And I've heard so many parents saying, let's go back to where we were.
Or
with
close
corporal
down boarding
punishment.
schools,
Let me tell you, corporal punishment doesn't help at all. And this has been discovered. Most countries in America, if you cane somebody's child, you go to jail. And we don't have such things happening. What we need to do is to embrace the culture of tolerance. That's the most important thing. Number one. Number two, let's realize that we can only resolve disputes through collaboration. Let's make our parents, our teachers, and our students conflict competent. Because unless we realize that, if we still insist that children must be caned, they must be punished, they must be put under pressure, we'll just continue with this same trend. And when I began this interview, I told you, if we continue doing things the same way and expecting different results, it is clear insanity. So do Kenyans wish to continue with insanity, or do we want to change things and have these things stopped? The time for stopping this mayhem is now, if they listen. And we have the capacity to do that. We are ready to assist the government and the Ministry of Education put these systems in place. And we have been working, though people have not been knowing, we have been working at the background, training tutors, training students in peer mediation. So if the ministry wants to run this program and run it now and put this mayhem to the end, we can do it right now. But if we still believe we can continue writing reports and constituting commissions and taking a cup of tea in hotels, coming up with reports which you do not implement, let's continue doing so, and we continue seeing many more students dying and many institutions being burned to the ground. Time to stop is now.
You see, you've talked about implementation.
Yes.
And implementation is where the crux of the matter is.
Yes.
Because, like you rightfully said, from 1991, we've seen several committees that have been put in place, task forces, to look into the problems. Yes. And every other task force's report has had similar reports with the relevant implementation mechanisms to change the situation.
Yes.
But implementation has remained being zero. What we're talking about now is a new structure, a new way of looking at things that again would call for implementation of the same from a government policy level. You know, why do I say that? Because if we're talking about peer mediation where, for example, children have said, students have said, in my home, my parents don't feed me weevils. When I come to school, I don't want to eat weevils. And the mediation committee has arrived at a conclusion that the source of the problem we have is because the students are being fed weevils and they have a problem with that. It is escalated. But at the end of the day, the government has to plug in and ensure that capitation gets to school on time and it is enough so that schools are able to procure good food for the students. It is a chain. It's a chain reaction that we've just sorted there. Therefore, government must be plugged in. How likely is that to happen when it comes especially to the implementation?
What I'm talking about, the first thing is recognition by the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. The Ministry of Education, if it does not have the capacity to handle this, it should signpost schools to peer mediation institutions that can be implemented outside there. We can work in collaboration. Number two, they should give guidance to schools on how to implement these programs, because governments are there to put up policy. That does not, because we can solve the dispute by getting good food in our schools. But good food does not mean that the exams are not coming next week, and therefore we are under pressure. We can even create rice. We can make our schools like hotels. But if we still, but if we still are having exams at the end of the month, and students have to sit and pass or fail, that doesn't take pressure away. So I'm trying to say that. Then we should import impaired conflict resolution in teachers' training institutions. Number three, we should also integrate conflict resolutions to youth, things like scouts, youth groups. This is a culture that we must start implementing right now. If students have gone through school and yet they have not gotten those skills, we can get them there. We should also enhance public awareness. Unless we tell the we sensitize the public about this process, public sometimes are the ones who can compel the government to put things into policy. So, for example, if the parents know that if their students or their children are trained as peer mediators, these things will reduce in school. I think the parents can put pressure on the government to put these systems in place. So sometimes we have to rely on parents, because we have parent associations, for example. We have teachers unions, okay, like COPET and others. If they impress this and they realize that this is the only way we can get out of where we are right now, I'm sure they can push the government to change policy. So we have a multi-stakeholders who will make this thing, put this thing into place. But can it be done quickly? That's the question you're asking, because we are in a problem already. Of course, yes.
Well, the thing is interesting that the schools seem to have a system in place whereby there has been a cascading of power.
Yes.
So you have the school heads and all of that. But then amongst the students, you already have this thing. You have the prefect system, you have captains, house captains, sector captains, all of that. So there seems to be an understanding that there can be the cascading of information and communication alongst these lines. So what has been it seems that now that has been bastardized, where it has turned to be that these individuals who are now, in fact, right now, I think second term is where a lot of these folks are elected, isn't it? Where these students are elected as these representatives. It seems that there has bastardized a system whereby now these individuals become snoops for the administration, as opposed to actually being communicators and helpers of the flow of information. How can those mechanisms that have already been set up be used for some of these things that you're talking about?
Exactly. When I was in school in 1980s, early 1980s, prefects were like kings. They were treated like kings, more than even teachers. Prefects would take you to their cube and cane you, and they would give you corporal punishment without the teachers knowing. Especially when we were in Form 1, we would be trained. There's something they used to call monolization. These things have changed right now. You can't do that to the students that we have right now. So what I'm telling the schools to do right now, for example, in peer mediation, if we can just start with the student leaders. Okay? If student leaders, prefects, and captains are trained to be peer mediators, I think that will be the beginning, because we may not be able to train the whole school. So if we can just select those, when they are being elected, they are trained to be peer mediators. One thing, they will be very calm, they will be conflict competent, they will have a lot of resilience, they will have what we call emotional intelligence. And these people will then be able to handle other students very well. And when disputes arise, even before they come to the teachers' offices, the prefect will already have handled it. So that's what I'm saying. That would be, for example, a low-hanging fruit. It's not what we call the doctrine of a low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit now would be, let's train our student leaders. Immediately they are trained. They are elected as leaders. Because if these people are trained, what you hear from other schools, because I've heard things from schools that I respected most, these very big schools, The students go there, they go through a lot of problems. They are mistreated by prefects who manhandle them, mistreat them, and this information cannot get to the teachers because the teachers have told them, fix your matters within the dormitories. This is where this kind of resistance comes from. So if we can be able to train our prefects in peer mediation as a low-hanging fruit first, then we can cascade these to other students within the community, within the school community. So I think what you have just mentioned is very important because students sometimes are elected as prefects and then they are given some kind of authority that's beyond what they are able to handle. And this one now is what brings resistance from other students. So if we can start by training our prefects and captains within the schools, I'm sure that will be a starting point. And it may help us manage what we are dealing with right now.
How does religious institutions tap into this? Because they are as well respected in society on their role in many schools. When you talk about guidance and counseling departments, most of teachers there are usually CRE teachers, right? But as well, when you read the holy books, spare the rod, spare the child. How can they tap into this space to be front runners on the same as well?
There is something you have said there which is very interesting. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I think that is really being misinterpreted from the Bible.
Yes.
You know what we mean by the rod? The rod is something I'm saying like peer mediation, educating the students to be able to manage their conflict. The rod doesn't mean the cane. You know, we literally translated it into a cane, and people are saying we are not caning our students, that's why they are behaving this way. So what I'm saying is that religious institutions really need to help. I'm encouraging people, even in Sunday schools, when children come to school, youth programs within churches, because we have that kind of youth programs. If we can also introduce peer mediation there, we can assist the schools, because when children are on leave, in leave days, when they go to church, if they find those programs there, I'm sure they will come back to school being more prepared to deal with conflict when they face it. So that's why I told you this is a multi-stakeholder issue. We all need to come back together. You know, in any country, even in America, you will find we have Democrats and Republicans who are fighting every day. But when there is a conflict, sometimes a serious problem, they come together and they forget about their party positions and they work together to resolving a national emergency. What we have right now on the table today is a national emergency. So all stakeholders need to come in together. And for example, this gem that I'm introducing right now, known as peer mediation, let us all embrace it and put it into the system. If we can do it between now and December, I want you to invite me here 2 years down the line to this same studio. And you tell me if we will ever be having what we are dealing with right now. People may think I'm just a false prophet, but I can tell you, I have seen what has happened in other countries. We can also fix it right here. You know, we can come into this studio and talk about politics, talk about many other things, and then try to politicize the kind of mess we are having in schools right now. It doesn't help us. No. The real thing that really what needs to be done is action. We have what to do, and the solution is educating, empowering, and valuing our students in school on how to resolve conflicts in a productive and collaborative way. Once we fix that, we fix the problem, and we shall not be talking about it again.
Absolutely.
No other student will die, no school will be banned, so long as the students really understand who they are and how to deal with the conflict.
Definitely must be considered and taken, and we're glad that you're able to share a lot of these things with us this morning, because for everything there's a solution.
Yes.
And other things may have been tried and didn't work.
Yes.
Perhaps it's time. James Mangangere, thank you for joining us this morning, Wakili, to share a lot of these issues with us, and a good way to end the week for thought, to think about, and now just not think about, but actually do and engage.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
And for everybody who's part of the Situation Room this week, thank you for being here. We go into a new week, into the weekend. Enjoy yourself this weekend, and take time to rest, and do take care of yourselves as well. We'll talk Monday, God willing. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
United opposition leaders will today begin a 3-day political tour of Western Kenya aimed at strengthening grassroots support ahead of future political realignments. The delegation, led by DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa, DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua of the PLP, Jubilee Deputy Party Leader Fred Matiang'i, Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, and Cleophas Malala alongside several members of Parliament. The tour begins in Luanda with stops in Kwirumbi, Kaega, Malava, Mayuge, and Shikomari, where the leaders will address residents. On Saturday, they are scheduled to hold a media briefing before proceeding to Shianda, Bumala, Nambale, Harambe Market, and Ekitale for public engagements. The final day will take them through Kibabii, Chewele, Misiku, Naitiri, and Kiminini before concluding the tour in Kitale town. Detectives in Murang'a County are investigating the murder of a 42-year-old man whose body was found in a maize plantation hours after returning home from prison. The body of Lawrence Maina Irungu was discovered on Wednesday in Kirembo village, Chui area.